Al Manzardo would end up being the hero, delivering a walk-off single in the 10th, moving the Guardians back to 500. Cleveland has the off day today before starting a 3-game series at home with the Seattle Mariners. Unfortunately for the team's playoff hopes, all 5 teams in front of Cleveland in the wild card race also won yesterday, so the Guardians head into their off day sitting 5 games out of that last wild card spot. The Browns are back in Brea and practicing for the first time since their initial 53-man roster was released. The team is now looking ahead to Week 1 against the Bengals. Before practice, the team added a few more players into the mix on waiver day around the NFL. Cleveland added running back Raheem Sanders and defensive back Jarek Bernard Converse first. They also signed receiver Malachi Corley and former first-round guard Cole Strange to the practice squad. Cleveland finished off the day by adding yet another quarterback in the mix. Last year's Week 18 starter Bailey Zappy will head to the practice squad as well. Headline sports news every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Anthony Allant.
The afternoon drive.
I think a pretty good indication that the Browns handled this in a way that actually might end up working out is how I don't see a single Browns fan actually happy about this.
Well, what's funny is that they're not too far off from what I wanted them to end up doing, too. And even I find myself being like, all right, could they have done this better? Like initially, the entire time, I said Flacco into Sanders was my dream scenario. And I think that kind of speaks to what you're getting at. That idea is that, like, there's too many options, and Flacco into Gabriel wasn't a lot of people's choices.
The afternoon drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Safety squeeze, gets it down. Here comes Arias. He'll score. No play at first for Diaz because nobody's home. It'll go as an infield RBI single for Will Wilson, and the Guardians have tied the game at 1. Fly ball, deep right field. Jones back, looking up. It's gone. And Tampa regains the lead, 3-1. Long fly ball, deep right field. Magna back. He's out of room. It's out of here. We're tied at 3. Line drive, base hit. That will do it. Martinez scores. Book it. In 10. The Guardians take the series on an 0-2 walk-off hit by Kyle Manzardo with 2 outs.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. Audio courtesy of Guardians TV. Hello.
Another series win. Don't mind if I do.
Nolan Jones' first home run since your birthday.
I realize that, and I know that because I'm an avid listener to the Dairy Brothers podcast, where it's become a show bit of theirs, and of course affiliated with Odyssey. It's been a show bit of theirs for Todd to mention every single show that Nolan Jones has been sitting on 3 home runs, even though he was brought in for his power.
He had a great nickname for him that now has to change. I'll let him use his nickname on his podcast, but it's great.
Did you check The Athletic this morning, by the way?
I did not.
This came up. This is actually from a couple of days ago. A guy named Chad Jennings. It just popped up on my For You. I don't know why it popped up on my For You on The Athletic 3 days later. It says, he's big, he's slow, and now he's making stolen base history. What happened? And a whole article about Josh Naylor stealing bases. We got Nolan Jones hitting a home run, and we got big old Josh Naylor stealing bases.
Now, I can't.
In the last month, he has stolen 11 bases.
Okay, I'd love to see a breakdown of the stolen bases. I'd love to see one of those, is it John Boy, that will go over
the lip reading and
stuff. Hell yeah.
Yeah, but they'll also go over like strategy and specific situations. I'd like to see how many of these are conceded, how many of these are they just never think somebody that looks like Josh Naylor is going to ever take off.
Thick Jimmy Smits?
Yeah. I want to see how many of these are actually like, hey, they were holding him on, and then he still was able to get a stolen base.
Did John Boy do a lip read of Stephen Vogt and Tanner Bybee? Did he do that?
I hadn't seen it yet.
But that's where I'll be.
That does seem right up their alley.
I would like one there. Let me get back to the Guardians just here in just a moment. Just a fat, quick moment here. You had somebody in your driveway at 5 a.m.?
Yes, this is not the first time that it's happened. In fact, I think this is just becoming more and more common.
Fun.
And I thought to myself, what if this happened 15 years ago? What would people be living in these homes? What would they be thinking as they get the headlights shining, the beams piercing through their windows, pointed directly at their house? Today it was at 5 a.m. It's been different times. So I don't know what company it was.
I think you might feel a little bit like David Koresh at some point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of become normalized, but he didn't stop with me, and he saw me walking. So now it's very rare you'd see, because I'm getting out to go to work. It's very rare you would have that kind of interaction where two humans are staring at each other at 5 a.m. in pitch blackness.
Oh, nice.
Right? And so then,
Fun.
I wave to him. Again, 15 years ago, there's no waving. I'm probably running back into the house, whatever.
I would like to see you slink running back into the...
Yeah, or vice versa. He might be running back because he doesn't expect to see somebody acknowledge him that early because he doesn't know. He's just pulling into a driveway.
Fabulous.
Well, then 2 houses down, because I see him, he turned around in mine, then started going back towards the lake in my posh waterfront community. And then he parks into the other driveway, 2 houses down, a neighbor, and then he pops his trunk. And again, 15 years ago, what are you thinking? But he pops his trunk.
15 years ago, if he pops the trunk.
Bootleg CDs.
It is.
I'm
it's
thinking,
time to go to the basement and unlock some of the
I'm
safe.
thinking the final episode of Breaking Bad. Like, what is going on?
I didn't get to see the final episode of Breaking Bad. Thanks for ruining it.
So, did I spoil?
Yes.
So, I waved to him as I'm driving by, and he tips the cap. How you doing, sir? And then we're off and running.
Off we go.
And I texted you guys. I said, is this just become normal? Because I can imagine in some parts of the country, even some parts of Northeast Ohio, certain counties, certain townships, certain hamlets, certain whatever, I could imagine that interaction not going as smoothly as it went in my neighborhood at 5 a.m. Has it just become...
Was he just driving a regular car?
Yeah, that's the other thing, unmarked.
That's the thing that throws you off, is the unmarked vehicles that pull up that are Amazon drivers.
And it might not be Amazon. Might be people... Are people getting DoorDash at 5 a.m.? Probably not, but I don't know.
DoorDash is DoorDash, but like I've had several, and especially recently, like no Amazon trucks. It used to be like in our... Because it's like, okay, we got 3 boys. The neighbors got 4 boys. The other ones, I mean, they had 2 boys right next door to us, and they were a little older. So it's like, man, it was. There was a FedEx truck, a UPS truck, DHL, Amazon, all day long.
A cavalcade,
all day long. And now it's like, well, it's any random car.
Yes.
Here comes a Toyota Prius, and it's some guy, and he's got a package for me, and I'm going.
And
okay.
not only that, Kenny,
random dudes.
It can be full carloads.
Yes.
It can be. 2 days ago, I'm walking with the kids 1 street over, and there is a car. There's 4 people in the car, and they're just stopping. 1 person gets out. They're stopping again. They're blasting music. Another person gets. It's like we have, obviously, for the convenience. And my question is, are you cool with deliveries at all hours of the night in all sorts of random unmarked cars? Are you cool with it? Is the trade-off? Hey, I love the fact that I can get anything at any time.
Yes,
it's really nice when I think of something at 10:30 at night, right before I go to sleep, and I go, oh, I kind of need that by the time that I get back home tomorrow, and then it's there.
It's there.
When we get home.
I've had things that I've left at 4 a.m. for, and it was it's on my porch. It arrived
amazing.
Overnight.
It's amazing.
Somebody slinked up to my porch and put a package there and took off.
But I'm also thinking it would just take one incident where somebody at the house didn't know, or they pulled into the wrong house. Somebody's got their "Don't tread on me" flag waving.
What are you trying to say?
I'm just saying.
Why does it have to be that?
You think "Don't tread on me" flags are also going to Amazon and doing the early order in the morning?
What if they're delivering me my "Don't tread on me" flag?
That could be.
What do you have to say about that?
Then we're at the nexus of the universe.
This is the biggest Karen worry thing I've ever heard.
Why does it have to be a "Don't tread on me" flag?
Wait, you're telling me, Owen, because I grew up in Chesterland, where people, if you pull down a driveway, you're telling me that everybody's...
where I grew up, Anthony?
You think everybody's cool with just random unmarked cars at 5 a.m. coming down their driveway?
It could have been an "I'm with her" flag.
I'm pretty sure I don't think they were good with that.
Can't be that. It has to be a "Don't tread on me" flag. Yeah, I'm sick and tired of your stereotypes.
It was an example.
Is what I am. I'm sick and tired of you stereotyping people here.
Example to prove a point.
Tired of it.
But either way, wait, you think that's a Karen argument?
Yes.
You think You think
Tone Karen, yes.
You think
That's why I said you're acting like Karen.
No,
Right
but
now.
I'm not because
Karen Lima.
I hold on. I waved to the guy. I saluted. I even put my hand to shake his hand. I said, gentlemen, would you like to come in and dine with me? Would you like to have breakfast with me? That would be terrific. You can come in and meet the kids at 5 a.m. I'm pretty sure Owen's not going to be cool with that. I think you're lying. But I also know that there are people that don't want anybody ever coming down their driveway in the history of their driveway.
No, I'm going to let him finish his rant so he can get all upset. And I'll tell you the second biggest point to you being Karen is going, no, listen to my point. I agree with my point.
I agree with Owen.
Be that as it may, I saluted the gentleman, and we did a tipping of the cap. So
how many fingers
that
salute?
Is why I came to you and asked you, is everybody in Northeast Ohio okay with people at 5 a.m. coming down their driveway with their lights beaming, opening their trunk? Is everybody cool with it? If everybody's cool with it, we'll just move on.
Well, I guess if I own a Don't Tread on Me flag, I guess I'm not allowed to, and which I don't, by the way, as much as you have everybody believing that I'm just...
You're the one that made the argument for it for 3 minutes there.
I mean, you've sat here and turned my house into Ruby Ridge for everybody.
There's a great made-for-TV movie with one of the Quaids in it. It's a 2-night event.
Is it Randy?
Oh, you can see, yes, and you can see it on YouTube. We're
the one I'd
right
pick.
now.
Yeah.
We could update it. Let's reprise the whole thing and do it with the package delivery service.
I think 8 years ago you had a valid argument, but it's become such a such a second nature thing that I don't even think about it anymore.
Okay. Do you think it matters where you are? Do you think...
Oh, I'm sure it probably does. I feel a little more safe in my community than maybe previous places that I've lived even.
Our boss just texted us because usually it's the Karen that like to speak to the manager and starts texting him, but says this all coming from the guy who suggested a kicking competition open to fans with no plan for stadium security or employees in a city that won't even allow tailgates anymore.
That's not true. I baked it in. I said the team that's worth $5 billion, I'm sure, can hire some security and actually give out some jobs.
Oh, well,
have people earn some money.
I'm sorry, sir.
By the way, I had people reaching out to me at all hours. I had somebody from another NFL organization say, you were trying to be funny. He says our team actually thought of different ways to come up with a way for kickers.
How dare they?
How dare they?
Early in the morning
with a way for kickers to compete? Because I'll tell you one way that's probably not going to make your kickers all hardened is hiding them from the cameras every time they're competing. They're competing. Get the cameras away. Oh, my God. Get the fans away. Don't let them kick in front of everybody.
Still wasn't able to do it.
Now it's Sunday. It's 1 p.m. You're going up against the Bengals. Game-winning kick. And all of a sudden, the kicker comes out there. He's cowering in front of fans. I was told there'd be no fans. I was told there'd be no... Wait, there are cameras? There's cameras? Oh, my God. My goodness gracious. Yeah, that sounds like a great way to get your kickers ready.
You got him in a mood now, boy. Everybody's got him in a mood. How's it feel to be attacked? How's it feel to feel like me every day?
Listen, I had a great interaction with the delivery driver this morning.
You did?
I did.
And then did you say, hey, just by the way, I'm going to go on the air and blast everything that you're doing. Maybe it's his second income. Maybe it's the way that he's paying for shoes for his babies.
That's part of it. I do think.
Just make sure, Mr. Delivery Man, I'm going to kill you on air.
That's part of the normalcy of where we're at, and that's why I'm asking: is it just normal for people? Like, forget just delivery drivers. Didn't you ever side eye somebody, or didn't your parents ever side eye somebody from coming down the driveway, and they post up at the front door like? Oh.
Ben in Green on Twitter. Twitter reactions brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. He says, I have a Don't Tread on Me tattoo, and I rebuilt my front deck this summer just for my Amazon delivery people. And it is very attractive, this deck. Very nice deck. He rebuilt it. Looks nice.
For the delivery people.
Looking good, yeah. Just for the delivery
guys. A lot of people doing additions to their house for delivery people.
Well, I'm sure there's other processes for it as well, but I mean, I think it looks pretty nice. I agree with Ben and Green here. Did
you extend your kitchen out so they could come in and make themselves some eggs?
Well, I don't think you want to go that far.
Well, why not?
Well, it serves two purposes. It helps the people with the deliveries, and
I've got a buffet out for you. It's like a continental breakfast.
Why can't you help them out
at 4:15 a.m.?
Anthony's going to build. Anthony's going to build a trapdoor in his porch for delivery people.
So he attacks the people with the "don't tread on me" flags, but he doesn't want these people anywhere around his house. So he attacks the stereotype that he's becoming.
I did not attack him whatsoever. I asked if it had become normal. You guys say it has. So
whatever you say, soldier of fortune.
I'm looking forward to the parade of vehicles down everybody's driveway at 4:30 a.m. Why stop there? Why not 3?
Bay Village Men's Club to the Bay Village Militia.
Was he delivering to your house? Started.
You know what? I don't think there was a package in our house. I think he went down the wrong driveway, is what happened. And again, greeted with a smile.
Don't want to pull down Lima's driveway. They don't call 911.
But behind his back, blasted on the air.
Boom. He leaves the safety on at home, but he takes the safety off when he turns on the mic, buddy.
I was going to ask, how many cars need to go down Ken Carmen's driveway before he has to go to the safe and try to remember his mom's birthday?
Long, so
I know my mother's birthday. Okay. I'm not going to say it on the air because it's the safe code. Thank you very much.
Just say it's a 2-second trivia.
Jim Jeffries has such a great bit about this with the home invasion. Oh God, what's her birthday? What's the in-law's birthday? Straight jam it into the safe.
That's fun. Well, good. I'm glad you had a nice interaction with the delivery driver. 5 a.m.
Nice gentleman.
So Kyle Manzardo hits a walk-off. Back to baseball and everything. Kyle Manzardo hits a walk-off. We could bicker about whether or not it counts as a walk-off. I think we've done that before. I got a weird theory. Mitch said he was at the game yesterday, and he had a weird observation that I noticed watching on TV. It seemed to be a crowd that was just there to be at a ball game. And I haven't seen that in a long... Not the crowd's fault. I just haven't seen that. I don't remember seeing that in a long time, even though it's only been 2 years. Last year, Francona, it seemed like, okay, that's it. But it was still like, hey, we're saying bye to Tito. So there was this energy a little bit, like, hey, this is Tito's goodbye, even though you knew he was going to be a manager again. That's 2 years ago, I should say. When it comes to yesterday, there was this weird, okay, we're in the seats, we're enjoying this day game, but there's no run, there's no postseason anticipation or anything like that. I know they're only 4.5 back of the wild card, but a lot of people are just like, man, you're losing to not great teams. This ain't very good. I don't think you're going to get in. But I also thought, I think after this season, we're going to get a lot of angry feelings. When the season's officially done, we're going to get a lot of angry feelings about the Dolans and et cetera. I don't think it's going to... I hope I'm right, because I want people to go. I don't think it's going to affect attendance the way that it has in the past. Because I went to a game just a couple of weeks ago, and there's a lot of people in that bar area on either side. You got that standing room only down the left field, which I think is underrated. And then you have the huge bar out in right field that is just the place to be. And I got to tell you guys, and I know, Owen, you go to a lot of games. I see, I've been to 2 this year. I see a lot of young people. A lot of 20-somethings.
I have the standing room pass. I feel like there's more standing room people at times than there is people in the bleachers, especially.
Yes.
And right field, where it's still a decently affordable ticket to be pretty close to the action.
I'm seeing a lot of 20-somethings there, and I'm like, they can't be here just because some of them are fans, but...
So you're seeing that. There's another bar area that's a standing room bar area, plus the upper deck, they have the 2 spots on the end now where they blew that out. But that terrace garden, I believe, you can't even see that from anywhere unless you're inside. And I've spent the last 2 games I've been there. I spent quite an amount of time there, and it's always packed. There are a ton of people in there.
It's weird.
They are up almost 7,000 fans a game from where they were in 2021 and 2022. They're down 1,000 from where they were last year, looks like, but which makes sense. They got off to the great start.
They're still hitting their sellouts and things like that.
Yeah,
not like they were on a pace last year, but
I don't think it's going to be 30 a game every single game next year. But I don't know if it's the type of hit. Maybe I'll be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm right. I hope it doesn't hurt it as much as I think, because they still try to put on a good show.
Do you think that maybe right now their crowd is outcome proof, where they don't care if they win or lose? They're there because they have so much fun. They love the experience.
Can I pick this up for a second? Because I think people have used the attendance argument as a punishment for the Dolans. 216-474-0092. And also, what's the deal with Bailey Zappy? Is what I asked when he walked into the studio today. Ken Carmen, Anthony Lyman, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
It's Anthony Lyman.
This traffic report brought to you by Bedford Nissan.
Right now, lease a new 2025 Nissan Rogue or Murano with all-wheel drive for just $295 or $339 a month, respectively, for 36 months. Or get 0% financing for 60 months. Bedford Nissan, your family-owned dealer on the Bedford Auto Mile or at bedfordnissan.com.
Talk sports deep into the Cleveland night. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Mary Kay 820, is Kevin Stefanski safe for the entire season? One sportsbook says, I don't think so. That coming up at 8:20 this morning. Also, our buddy Doug Lee Maurice going to join us. He's from the B Gap, or as Lima and I said drunkenly, meet me in the B Gap! At a bar in Ames, as we were shouting threats.
Might have said that once.
Were you yelling that at Brock Purdy's family?
No, because I think Brock Purdy's dad would have stretched Lima out, man.
Yeah, I saw him.
Would have given it to him. I think it would have been bad, yeah. The B Gap, the Ohio State football podcast with Bill and Doug on Substack. We'll talk to Doug Lee Maurice coming up at 9:21 this morning about Ohio State and Texas. Also a little bit more on that game coming up here at 6:43. Okay, before we get into the whole Bailey Zappy rigmarole, the attendance issue I brought up with you, like, I think things might change here. Now, this is an early theory, and I may be wrong, but man, I hope I'm right. Because I'm looking at a team, Pittsburgh, if you go by the averages, you got to go by the percent, but they don't have it, so I got to go find the percent, because it's like, okay, the average is Tampa Bay and the Athletics. God, what a great state baseball is in. You don't even have a home for one of your team. You guys are talking about expansion. Okay. Tampa Bay averages 9,800 a game. Well, they're playing in a minor league stadium because they got the literal roof blown off their stadium. But, like, if you go to the averages, so, like, say Tampa Bay and Oakland never drew well really anyway, so they'd probably be somewhere in that category. Pittsburgh's still at 19-2 for a home game. Cleveland is at 25. Right about.
By the way,
just over.
Pittsburgh's is probably inflated by every fifth start.
Well,
they're getting sellouts.
Okay, well, are we inflated a little bit because of Jose?
Oh, you mean game to game?
Yes, and I wonder if, like, you can't. I don't think you can sit there and be Pittsburgh every single year and then continue to draw decently if you're the Cleveland Guardians. But the Guardians are 21st in attendance right now, so they're still bottom third, but it's not like they're 29th like they've been in the past and things like that. And I have to ask, are you building a model that might be results proof? Because, again, I went to a couple games this year. Owen's probably been to, how many home games have they had so far?
About 35, I think is what
they've had 65 home games, and definitely Owen's been to over 30. Owen goes to a lot of baseball games, and Owen has the monthly pass. And I think a lot of people, because I saw a lot of young people, man, and a lot of people who I don't think, they weren't like wearing Guardians jerseys. Like, I think there were a lot of dates going on where maybe the girls are wearing some Guardians jerseys and things like that. But I try to observe this and I'm going, man, there's a lot of young people here. And I wonder if they live downtown and they got a monthly thing. And it's like, hey, if you can get the $5 beers and some of the other drinks there, like what Owen can get, it's like, just like going to a bar. There's a baseball game around you. The weather's great. It's just like going out where they have a patio. I don't have to wait on a seat or anything and go stand there, and I can leave whenever I want to leave if we want to go somewhere else. So it really doesn't matter. Now, some of these are on Fridays where it's like, hey, that's an easy date. Baseball game, the games are over now in 2 hours. See the fireworks. Go out, do whatever you want. Hook up, whatever you want to do, right? But it's this model where your attendance might be pretty decent. I mean, 25,000 a game is still pretty decent in Major League Baseball to me. I wonder if it's almost results proof where, hey, man, you're probably still going to get 23, 25, even if you're not a playoff team this year, where a lot of us, when we watch baseball and we get mad at the Dolans, and we look at attendance as a punishment because you didn't put out for your baseball team. And I don't know if that's going to happen here. I wonder if this is a model where you're almost results proof in so many ways.
I wonder, because it's a scary path to go down. I know it sounds good. Hey, you're going to get it regardless of whether you're good or bad. And we'll see. We'll see if this continues to be this, 500 type season, which is exactly where they're going to be at now. Even though they're going to have young, exciting, I would think, talent that are going to be there day one. Unlike, did you see the lineup they put out there yesterday? Lineup yesterday looked like that was going to be winning proof. Looked like there was going to be no shot they were going to pull through in that series, looking at the lineup they had out yesterday. But I'm not sure what's going to resonate. And, I was talking to somebody in the know down in Columbus about their NHL ratings and their NHL, attendance. They've always been able to draw, decently for the Blue Jackets. I think they get 18,000 a game, no matter what their record is. And the guy said the problem here is that's their fan base. Their fan base is like 30,000 strong.
And they're going to go no matter what.
But
they're not growing.
But that's it. They're going to the games, and that's it. They don't see that bounce in television ratings. Well, I think we all understand, like, years ago, Paul Dolan made an egregious mistake talking about, if you come, we'll spend the money. It's one of the all-time
Larry might have said that, but I'm not sure.
What's that?
I think Larry might have said it just to...
It might be Larry, but it's been their ethos. It's been everything that guides them. That was an all-time bad PR blunder, and they're still paying for it.
Yeah.
I still hear it to this day that people bring it up.
Bad thing to say.
So... They enjoy them, that was another blunder, and that's why they really don't talk anymore, because they get killed every time they talk. And by the way, rightfully so. Yeah. If you open up your mouth and say something that is going to discourage, your fan base, it makes sense. But the reality is, as much as, hey, I said they're up 7,000 fans from 2019. They're up 3,000 fans. Whatever, you can trace it every year. They're up. They're down about 1,000 from last year, but they're up, relatively speaking. The reality is, their real money is going to come from a local TV contract, and we don't know the future of that. That's going to have more to do with whether they spend money on their players than all of us, because they're not going to sell out Progressive Field. They're just not going to do. It's never going to be at the levels it was, when there were no Browns here and the Cavs had been kind of irrelevant. That was a perfect storm when you had a new ballpark. It's never happening again.
By the way, you're probably right. Now, Pittsburgh plays in this. I use them as the extreme example because they play in the same division as the Cubs, which are a top 10 attendance team. They play in the same division as Cincinnati, which is at 20th right now. St. Louis, which is usually pretty decent in attendance. And on the road, if you notice, they're at 31,000. So they're definitely there to see one guy every 5 days. But also where it's like, I look at the Pittsburgh model, which is, again, extreme. I've been to a Pittsburgh baseball game. I really was. I was excited to see Garrett Cole back in the day and Bryce Harper playing for the Washington Nationals back in the day. But I don't think a lot of other people were there to see the baseball game. They were there because the weather was good, the beers were relatively cheap, and the scenery there was fantastic. I mean, it's basically a state park is what it is with a baseball game there. And I think that's part of the reason where there are hardcore Pirates fans, wherever they may be, not in this area, who are upset because they don't seem to pay the fiddler for them being a bad organization. I don't know if the Guardians, though, are going to pay this outrageous penalty for not going to the postseason. Because, one, I can't sit there and yell at you and say that it's a bad organization. It's not a bad organization. They've made some mistakes here recently. They may pay for him down the line. I get very, very worried about Jose Ramirez at 30, going on 33 years old next month, and how long that window's open. So it means that Kyle Manzardo has to come to fruition. It means that Travis Bazzana has to come to fruition. And I don't know if they're going to get to their primes, probably not, by the time you're still in Jose Ramirez's prime. So you're trying to keep windows open here to be a competitive ball club. But with the model that they have, will it ever truly hurt? Will it ever truly hurt? Because it, like, say you do pass it on to David Blitzer, you're able to come to a price, you're able to pass it on. He may make it, but these results here, you're an under 500 team. You're not paying for it in attendance like you're an under 500 team. And back in the day, people used to be able to say, well, you're still, and maybe they're still will coming up in 2026. Back in the day, you would say, well, they're still reaping the rewards of the good season they had last year. Wait until next year when people aren't showing up. But if you have a monthly thing, that counts towards attendance. So if I have a monthly membership there of $50 a month to go, that's still going to count towards attendance anyway. And then the people are coming in or they're not coming in. And I think that has been, I'm sure a lot of other teams are doing the same thing the Guardians have. I think that's a huge, it's a revenue stream certainly, but I think it's a huge game changer for everything else, because the tickets, if you're looking at a bleacher seats, especially secondary market, it's the same thing as what it would be anyway. I
would ask you, because you have a year like this, normally you feel the repercussions a season later, but next year, You have a big-time number 1 overall pick that at some point is going to be wearing that jersey. You've got Kafis, you've got DeLauder, I would expect. So all of a sudden, now all the kids are up, and while that may dampen some expectations, maybe it'll be like, we're seeing what the young kids can do. Do you think their attendance is going to pay the price for this year, or do you think they'll actually be okay because of the young players they'll get to see next year?
From what I see now, but again, these numbers might be inflated because it's a monthly thing. Maybe some people are going to be upset and they say, I'm not going to pay my monthly price, but it's $50 a month if you're a baseball fan and you're going to a lot of games like Owen. Like, Owen, are you really that mad at the Guardians where you're not going to pay your $50 a month next month?
Oh,
maybe you are. But
we've talked about it, and I was going to cut it off before this month because then I've already paid for next month. But
okay.
I won't be starting it to start the season next year. That's how I set right now. And March will be here.
We'll see if you get stir crazy and want to get out of the house.
Yeah, we'll see how it all turns out by the time it goes. Because the reason that we got him to start off with was it was cheaper than buying opening day tickets, right? For that first month. And then we just kind of fell into the groove.
Shh, don't tell him.
That's the truth, right?
Truth's the truth. I think that if you're asking the question, and Owen hits it, I think if you're asking the question in late August when the team hasn't done as well, I definitely think there's some fans who are probably like, I'm not doing it next month. But it then becomes a Browns thing going, okay, what are you going to do in September? Okay, what are you going to do when the weather finally turns in April
and there
or
are
May?
Days that I've went and not spent $1 inside the park, and there are days where I've went and I've spent way too many dollars inside the park. So it all evens out.
It all evens out. Mary Kay coming up at 8:21. All right, what's the deal with Bailey Zappy? See, I can't even get his name right. That's why I'll be pretty upset if he plays before somebody else that we know his name very well. That coming up after the overhyped Archie Manning at 6:43 on the Fan. Extend Technologies.
song about the best mayo has a yellow lid, and its full name is Duke's Mayonnaise. Get Duke's Mayo in store. It's got twang.
Sign up to be a part of the fan club. Download the free Odyssey app and follow 92.3 The Fan to get all of the best audio and best stories sent straight to your inbox. 92.3thefan.com.
Doug Lesmerise's going to join us at 9:21 this morning. He's the host of the B-Gap, Ohio State Football with Bill and Doug on Substack. Of course, you knew him from the Cleveland Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. He's all over YouTube. Fantastic guy. Is Arch Manning overhyped? Danny Cannell was on Afternoon Drive. DK says, yes.
I think it's so over the top. And it's impossible. I feel bad for Arch Manning because he really hasn't asked for any of it. And I do have to give him a ton of credit because I think he's handled it really, really well. He's said and done all the right things, and yet media just gravitates to him. I cannot remember. Tebow had some hysteria, but that was really after they won the championship and he won the Heisman. Then it sort of blew up. Same thing with Johnny Manziel, who had hysteria around him, but that was sort of after he broke out. Nobody even knew who Johnny Manziel was when he took over the starting role for A&M. I kind of have to go outside the sport of football and look at a guy like LeBron James, who was on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a high schooler, to remember anybody with this sort of expectations heaped upon him. And I think it's impossible for him to meet those expectations. I think the sky is the limit for what he could be, but I think it's going to be much more of a roller coaster ride for Texas, which is why I actually have them at 9-3 and missing the playoffs.
Well, that's pretty strong take from Danny Cannell right there. Boy, he's had strong takes about the Browns winning 9 games, and it's weird. He says the same total for Texas. I think that'd be a massive disappointment. I think that would put Steve Sarkisian on the hot seat with Texas fans, considering what they've spent on that roster and having Arch Manning there. I don't feel bad for Arch Manning whatsoever. Sorry, it's the business you've chosen. It's the family you're born into. I don't feel bad.
Yeah,
whatsoever.
I don't think he's asking. Is he asking you to feel bad?
Well, he said he feels bad for Arch Manning. I don't feel bad at all.
Listen, the way and I've seen a lot of the reporting done on his entire experience. It was to, as best they could, insulate him from a lot of the nonsense because they knew that his family knew, and it seems like, from all accounts, he's done a terrific job. Now, it's one thing to do the terrific job before you actually play a game and start getting hate, because every quarterback is going to get hate at some point. But he was off social media, by all accounts, really, really mature for his age throughout the whole process. So, feeling bad. I mean, he's got a ton of NIL money. I don't know if we know the exact amount. I know a lot of numbers have been thrown around about the Texas program in general, because I've seen Ohio State fans highlight that. They've tried to debunk $40 million roster, just like Ohio State tried to debunk $20 million roster last year. Regardless of it, I think he's in a really great spot. But yeah, there is pressure on him.
Do you think he's overhyped? Because I think you see some of the plays that he's made, and I know he struggled against Georgia, and he's going to be going up against a big boy defense on Saturday in Ohio State. But do you think that there is an overhyping there? Because I don't know how you can help not overhyping him, considering who his uncles are Hall of Famers. His grandfather is enormously famous in the South and really around football. I don't know how you can't overhype him.
But
it's like, okay,
funny.
These are your expectations.
It's funny you say hype. All I've seen the last week when it's intensified about the magnitude of this game is, we'll see. We have no idea if he's actually good.
But I don't expect him to fail.
No, but I'm not seeing people say he's going to perform minute 1 like the best quarterback in college football. That would be hype. I'm not like LeBron. LeBron, the hype was, guys, he could have played in the NBA his junior year of high school. I'm not seeing that with Arch. I'm seeing, hey, he has all the tools, but we kind of understand quarterbacking. We kind of understand that we don't understand why some guys hit the ground running with quarterbacking. Like Jaden Daniels, he was drafted high. Nobody knew if he would be good right away, and then he's good right away. I'm talking in the NFL.
I don't know. Real quick, because I know we got to get the Bailey Zappy involved. We're going to go from Arch Manning to Bailey Zappy in one segment. What a move. I know we got to get the Bailey Zappy here, but I don't think that Julian Sayin's absolutely thinking about something like this. Probably not at all. How fortunate is it that Julian Sayin, in his first start as an Ohio State quarterback, 100,000 people, place is going to be nuts, you're coming off a national championship. How fortunate is he that the other guy that you're playing against. Like the quarterback at Ohio State is one of the most pressure-packed spots in college football, which that means it's in the game of football. And the spotlight isn't on you. Like, you're one of the stories. The spotlight's on the other guy. All the pressure's on that guy going into Saturday.
That won't happen often. I guess Michigan, too. Michigan's quarterback is going to be under a spotlight, too, because of his NIL money and his recruitment and everything. But you're right. You're right. This will be the rare game. Although I have a feeling that he's not thinking about anything but, how he's going to cope with playing. Granted, it's a home game, so he's not going to have to deal with the noise. But we know how this works at Ohio State. You come out and you don't score on the first 2 possessions, boo birds already. That's just how it's been my entire adult life, or at least since Jim Tressel took over. That's what happens at the shoe when the offense sputters. They get booed. It doesn't matter who's quarterback. So you're right. He is going to have to be confronted with that. I cannot wait for this game because I think there's just so many unknowns. Would anybody be shocked? This is to react to your question about hype. Yeah, there's a lot of hype regarding Arch, but would anybody be shocked if he doesn't have a good game in his first game like this? First game
I'd
in this
be very
magnitude?
shocked if he was like bad. If he were average,
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
If he were pedestrian, I wouldn't be shocked. But I think if he were bad, I think I'd be like, whoa.
And by the way, I don't think that would doom him either.
But you've had 2 years to get ready for this moment here. You should be able to step up to the moment.
It's one thing to get ready. It's another thing to go out there in front of that crowd that is going to be absolutely jumping and rare for a noon game, right? Ohio State, normally it takes the night game to get loud. They are going to be loud as you could ever imagine for that game.
You should have just said the word. We would have dumped it. All right, Doug Maurice, we'll talk to him about this coming up at 9:21 this morning. Bailey Zappy is with the Cleveland Browns. That is a real thing. So they've collected another quarterback for their practice squad. That was reported yesterday from Tom Pelissero.
I saw you going after our trusted beat reporter yesterday, Daryl, for kind of being miffed that they didn't tell him.
I was joking.
But the Glenn Cook interview yesterday.
I was joking.
But they were keeping this a state secret, huh?
They interviewed Glenn Cook, and then Daryl did come off annoyed, but he's like, we talked to Glenn Cook for a amount of time. He didn't mention this, and I was like,
and they talked about the quarterback situation ad nauseum. It was the biggest back and forth, and they didn't bring up Bailey Zappy.
He's not just going to offer that information to you as the assistant GM now, is he?
Oh, they had to save it for Tom Pelissero. They had to scratch Tom Pelissero's back.
Well, it's not a done deal. You can't, as a team official, you can't just come out and say such a thing.
Okay. Wait, was it not official yesterday?
Tom Pelissero is reporting it. I got to check my email. Did they officially announce that they're signing Bailey Zappy?
A highly sensitive Bailey Zappy story. We've got to protect.
That's not the issue.
We've got to keep this in-house at all costs.
No, that's not the issue.
Who our fourth quarterback is going to be.
I don't have anything in my email, so they can't. Like, a team official just can't come out and say that they're signing a player. He can't mention names.
I laugh at all. It's like, why even have a media availability if you're not gonna actually give the media anything? What's the point of this? The only thing people care about is the quarterback room, and you're adding to the quarterback room.
You really want him to just come out and go, we're signing Bailey Zappy?
Yeah.
Even though he hasn't been signed?
I'm watching a documentary where the best team in football and the Dallas Cowboys, where they made more news than anybody, the owner would just get out in front and say, oh, here's the situation. Here's what we're doing. Yeah, I'm probably gonna remove. Right, and
who thinks Jerry Jones does it right?
I don't know. They were doing it right when they had a dynasty.
When they had Jimmy Johnson.
Can you give me one of those dynasties where
30 years ago.
The trade-off is we'll share some information about the fourth quarterback, but in return we give you a dynasty.
That's like me saying the Browns were doing it right with Paul Brown.
I think everybody would be okay with it.
That was 50 years ago.
I think we'd be relaxed and ready to go with it.
No, I don't think that's
you don't think so.
I can't believe we're bickering over Bailey Zappy and whether or not Glenn Cook should have just came out and said that he was going to be signed. You're not going to sit there and tell people.
We better seal the Bailey Zappy documents to make sure, because that's giving us a strategic advantage with our football team.
You're already bored by the season, I can tell. If you're coming out ripping Glenn Cook, who I keep wanting to call Glenn Campbell, if you keep wanting to rip on Glenn Cook for not coming out and telling people that they're going to sign a player who they technically haven't even signed yet, and then you're talking about getting fans in there to go watch a kicking competition in the stadium out of nowhere,
people would
I think you might just be a little bit bored by everything.
Be a nice revenue stream.
I think you're ready to sit there and talk about crab dribbles and talk about 2-3 zones is what I think you're ready to do.
I'm just saying that if everything the Browns have done,
ticky-tack things that you've been upset with the Browns
you're saying
over.
ticky-tack. It's the Browns that are being ticky-tack because they think this matters. Like everything they do is to keep these secrets. Then what is it about, Kenny? Why do they keep everything a secret?
It's not about that.
Why don't they show the kickers in training camp when they're in a competition?
That part I don't know.
You tell me.
That part I don't know.
You tell me the layers and layers and layers of the stuff that they refuse.
That part I don't know.
To be upfront about.
I'm not arguing that, but they're not going to sit there and talk about a guy who they haven't actually signed yet, or they're not going to offer up the information about a guy they haven't actually signed yet.
Will this make the building of the Browns or whatever the new version of the reality show? Will we get the behind the scenes to the Bailey Zappy signing?
So if we bring in another weekly guest who joins us, and it's like, hey, you want Keith to just walk in here before the contract is actually signed and just announce to everybody that he's going to be here? No,
I'm thinking that they treat stuff as if it's some big advantage to the football team when I haven't really seen any evidence of those advantages.
Well,
have you seen any advantages?
I don't think it's an advantage. I think it's policy in the NFL that a team doesn't talk about a player they haven't signed until they've actually signed the guy.
That's it.
I think that any football team, good, bad, ugly, would do that.
I think this gives us a win in week 1, how they're handling the Bailey Zappy situation.
Nobody said that.
Nobody said that. Ken, I'm going to give you the credit, and I'm going to give the Browns all the credit if they pull this off.
Nobody made that argument.
They're going to do it.
Single person
Albert Breer on Monday, when he gives his big column of all the big moments of the season around the NFL, is going to say, you know what? I saw the Browns turning things around when they kept that Bailey Zappy thing a secret. That was the start of this team starting to transition into a winning organization.
I'm on the Browns YouTube channel right now. They have a show called Man Under Center. Part 1 was called The Groundwork.
Is it him?
Part 2 was called The Final Evaluation. Part 3 is Media Gets Zappied.
You've been zappied.
I can't get anything accomplished this morning.
Should be a new segment.
If you want to sit there and make jokes and Daryl wants to get miffed, fine. I'll take Daryl on about it tomorrow as well. I don't care. It's a silly thing to get upset about.
Zappy's tearing the show apart.
Of all the things you sit there and get upset about, that's the thing that Daryl's going to get upset about. He can tear the station apart if he wants to, because I'll go after Daryl for it. There's no reason you should be miffed. I can't be like, oh my God, we spent 20 minutes with Glenn and he didn't tell us about Bailey Zappy. Yeah, that's going to really fix your wagon on that, isn't it? If you're mad over Bailey Zappy, Daryl, if you're mad over that, you got a lot of grievances that you've had pile up with the Browns. It ain't just about no Bailey Zappy.
You're acting like they shouldn't have those grievances. The team sucks, Ken. The team is way worse.
Just because the team sucks doesn't mean they should just come out and tell you.
See how mad Ken just got? Like, whoa, how could anybody have a problem with the Browns and their way of doing business?
That's not what I pointed out.
How could anybody? They're 3-14, and Vegas has them as a 5-win team this year. Congratulations. He thinks 6 wins. Oh, and he thinks 6 wins is going to be a big deal. Did you hear that on the afternoon show yesterday? They were going after you for thinking 6 wins is some big going out on a limb. 6 wins.
If the afternoon show doesn't have me to talk about, they don't have anything to talk about. I'm glad to give them the content.
They can reach the pinnacle of 9 wins to get.
Turn it on you. What do you think? What's the problem?
I just you sat there as if I can't believe anybody would challenge the Browns.
There's no general manager. Nobody's going to sit there and talk about guys before they're actually signed.
The Cleveland Browns. How could they do such a thing? 3-14 last year.
All right, coming up at 7. That's not the issue. That's not what I'm pointing out. That is not what I'm saying.
How many quarterbacks are going to split the reps this week?
All right, coming up at 7:01.
That's a good organization.
Coming up at 7:01, did we let the wrong guy go? Someone in Pittsburgh thinks so. You might be surprised when we tell you who. On the effing Fan.
Anthony Lima, 4.
Were the young guys healthy, and did they play well? Did the young quarterbacks play at all? And if they did, how did they look? Did Stefanski keep the locker room when tough time hits? Because you're not an 11-win team. At some point, tough times are going to hit.
I'm going to have a hard time with a lot of this because there is a part of me that I just need to see Stefanski get in the win column. And that might just be that it's hard to do with this team.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
From now, it sucks. I can't be mad. See, this is what you done. So I'm looking at the YouTube comments. Get him, Lima. Get him. I go, it's not a defense. Carrying water. Kenny Haslam over there carrying water. It's not a defense of the Browns. It's policy of the NFL. It's policy of pro sports. This isn't a defense of the Browns and bad records and bad football. Saying that, well, what'd you want Glenn to do? Just come right out and say, we're signing Bailey Zappy. No.
It is unbelievable. You know what it is? It is. I've been sitting watching. I got like 20 minutes left of that Cowboys documentary. And every time there's a press conference or every time somebody is mic'd up, they have more audio behind the scenes of that damn team. I'm like, I can't believe we're being given this gold because we've been trained in 2025 in all these cities and in all in all the sports to never get anything. You never get anything.
Well,
and I love somebody responded. It was A. Hefner on social media says, when have the Cleveland media had any breaking news ahead of the national media? And I can tell you, Daryl's had a ton on the stadium. Mary Kay, every time it starts to go south, you better pay attention to Mary Kay because she had Odell, she had Baker before any of the national guys did. They even gave her credit for it.
That's by design.
But I will tell you, when it comes to transactions, teams are not telling local media stuff anymore. They want to leak out to Tom Pelissero so he can somehow scratch their back later. And I'm like, when's the last time Adam Schefter or Tom Pelissero, Ian Rappaport, when do they ever scratch your back? What do the Browns ever get out of giving that stuff to the national people early? They just make fun of them when they're bad and they go through a coaching change or a GM change.
I said this. I remember I said this on CBS Sports Radio some years ago, and somebody texted me like, you better be careful what you're saying over there. I'm like, what? Huh? Because I said, Adam Schefter is not... I'm sure he did a lot of good journalism to get to where he is, but I mean, he's an extension of NFL PR. He announces these things. He's basically an announcer. He announces these things. They see the reaction, and then when they go up there and do their press conferences, they tailor their reaction to the reaction of the fans. That's how that works. So he's the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. He's the chosen one. He's the guy. No offense to him. I wouldn't want to have to stare at my phone 23 hours a day. He did a lot of work to get to where he is. No disrespect, but that's the way they do it now. So, there will be some things that break locally, but that's why you get some of the nationals, at least in the NFL. Basketball is a little different. Baseball is a bit different. The NFL, it is as tight as it is. That's why I'm not mad of not telling us about damn Bailey Zappy of all things.
It's going to be funny if it doesn't even happen. Can do the Champions Post, end all Champions Post. Oh, you want to tell them about a quarterback that's not even here?
Oh, boy, that'd be great. Oh, my God. I would be ripping you into... Please don't sign here now. Please don't
go
sign
away,
here
Bailey.
now. Go away, Bailey. Go somewhere else.
And now I got to
go to Canada.
Now I got to put my reputation on the line Bailey Zappy.
Please,
you.
Please, God, I will rip you and Daryl to shreds tomorrow morning.
I got to do a Bailey dance.
God, I would love it.
A Bailey Zappy dance.
Please, just wait. Just wait. Go to Canada. Go play for the Argonauts for a second. The hell was I going to do? Oh, yeah. Did we let the wrong guy go? Somebody in Pittsburgh thinks so. It's not necessarily who you think. This audio courtesy of the fine folks, I hope so, at 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. And I am stretching and stretching and stretching, and I think we have it. Do we have it? Mitch was supposed to go get it.
Where is Mitch in this whole situation?
I don't know which clip we want.
All right. Well, this is nicely produced. Mitch, what do you got for us?
So the first clip, we have an exchange between Andrew Filipponi and Aditi Kinkhabwala talking about a recently traded Browns quarterback.
Ooh.
They don't have a quarterback as a franchise. One guy's 40, and the other kid...
Now we're playing the wrong one.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Who do you think has a better chance of being an NFL starting quarterback? Kenny Pickett or Shedeur Sanders? What would you say?
Kenny Pickett.
So then why keep Sanders over Pickett?
I can tell you, I don't want to insult anybody, but I can name starting quarterbacks in the current National Football League whose coaches have told me that Kenny Pickett is better than the guy that they are starting.
Okay, but why keep Sanders over Pickett then?
Because you used a draft pick on him. We've seen plenty of teams cut draft picks that they just drafted. There are plenty of questions associated with why you would draft a quarterback just 2 rounds after a quarterback that you very clearly liked so much, but that's what they did. And Andrew Berry is someone who has not been known to cut loose a guy that he just drafted. And so there you are. And now the development of these quarterbacks becomes yet another thing that Kevin Stefanski has to figure out and deal with amidst massive circus that surrounds anything and everything related to Shedeur Sanders.
I mean, Kenny, that is from Aditi.
That was a little bit surprising.
Who, we just talked about who the Browns will tell things to it. I mean, she had full access to the Browns doing their preseason games. She had full access to the Browns. She used the term media circus surrounding Shedeur, which you and I were like, hey, the circus hasn't even really been here. It's been elsewhere. It hasn't really been here. Aditi just brought up the circus involved with Shedeur and how hard it is to try to go through this with the 4 quarterbacks they had. And, she did, I would say at the beginning, she said, well, they used a draft pick on Shedeur. They also used a draft pick on Kenny Pickett. I mean, they traded, and a player, it was DTR, but they traded those things to get.
They don't kick off for another week. I'm already frustrated. I'm sorry. They don't kick off for another, because I don't know what your plan is. I don't know where you're going with this. Not you, them. If he was that good, why'd you trade him for a 5th-round pick? I'm serious. Can we be serious for a second?
If he's clearly better than Shedeur Sanders.
After they traded him, because I don't think much of Kenny Pickett.
No.
I think that's fair.
Me and you both don't.
Excuse me, I think everybody knows that. You could say it's unfair. I don't care. I don't think much of Kenny Pickett. The show doesn't think much of Kenny Pickett as a quarterback. And so when they traded him, the thing that I brought up was like, hey, man, you traded him for a 5th-round pick. So technically, I guess you got a 5th-round pick. People are calling that a win. I call that a wash. And I call it really
a waste of time.
Really, I call it a waste of time and a net negative, considering I could have just given his reps to Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. But if he's actually good, or they think he's actually good, why am I trading him away for a 5th-round pick when I could have had him in 1 football games with him? Could have done that. Oh, because we drafted guys? What's your what's your plan? Not yours, theirs. What's their plan? You're trying to thread this needle. I hope everybody else sees this, right? Seriously, if you're on I-90 right by the Burke and you're driving in, what's their plan? Glance to the lake for a second. I paid guys. I got veterans. I also got young guys. I'm trying to meld this when I have 2 first-round picks next year. Why did I get 2 first-round picks next year? Is it to win now? I got a 3rd and a 5th-round guy who are my 2nd and 3rd team quarterbacks that we all believe are going to play at some point this year. 90% of Browns fans believe that those 2 guys are going to play this year, and another 5% believe that Deshaun Watson's even going to play for the Browns this year, or even Bailey Zappi's going to play. Bring them all through. Then why are you getting rid of Kenny Pickett? If he can help you win games, if you believe that highly in him, why are we trading him for a 5th-round pick then? What is the meaning of all this? So you're either this sleeping giant that can make the playoffs this year, great, or you're this team that is trying to win enough games where this is really what I think the plan is. You're trying to win enough games to keep you employed, but you don't want to win enough games because you don't want to be out of the high picks for the 1st round of the NFL draft so you can go out and get your quarterback. Are we just trying to keep jobs? Is that what this is? Because if we're just trying to keep jobs, then they all should have been gone at the end of last year, because if your ass is on the line to begin a year, you're already gone. You know it and I know. We've done this before many times. We did it with Mike. We did it with Hugh. We did it with Name Your Browns coach. I mean, when you're on the line to start a season, you're already gone. They're already thinking about it because it usually doesn't go our way. Sometimes it goes a coach's way and they keep them. Like you've seen that in college football, and then they just get rid of them when they have a bad year the year after. But in the NFL, there are guys that get that close to the bandsaw here and there, and they become great coaches. Usually, though, you just get fired because when you're talking, you keep bringing up the America's Team documentary. See, the winners get to tell the history. That was a dynasty there. I'm not talking about the thousands of losers who have come through that have not been good. Okay, we'll give them a year, and then they're fired by week 6. So what is your goal here? Because now I think a lot of fans are going, all right, you got this guy you guys won't stop talking about, but half of you guys are upset because it's a 5th-round pick. Okay, I got this other quarterback that is diminutive in size, but he knows the offense great. Well, I'm not drafting another head coach. I wanted to draft another quarterback. I could have drafted a guy that was going to be able to help us. You want to win games, but you don't want to win too many games now, so we can keep the guys that most of us have a bad impression of, and they have a under 50 approval rating. We want to hold on to these guys that not a lot of people like in the first place. And it's all being ran by the guy out in San Diego? What's your plan? This is all deduced from Kenny Pickett. Give me a plan, please.
Do you care, though, if Kenny Pickett's 27, does it matter that he's better than Shedeur? Does it matter? Like, you're still going to go with the younger guy, right?
If you're going into year 6, I think it matters that he's better than Shedeur. Yes, I think it matters that he's better than... Did she say he's better than Dylan Gabriel?
She did not say that.
Was she willing to go that far?
But she said there are other coaches in the NFL that said that Kenny Pickett have told her, and Aditi, she's not known for... I mean, she's never going to lie about this.
Aditi's not going to lie.
Yeah,
not a liar.
So I guarantee you she's but she didn't necessarily say head coaches, did she? But she said there are coaches in this league that think Kenny Pickett is better. They think Kenny Pickett is better than their starting quarterback.
Then why weren't people trading for higher than a 5th-round pick for Kenny Pickett? Are we all interested in winning, or are we just getting ready for next year? Who are the other coaches in the NFL? Are they the other teams that are in the race for Lenore Sellers, Kate Klubnik,
that could be part of
et cetera, et cetera?
That they're in transition with their situations, just like we might be in transition with ours. We're starting a 40-year-old quarterback in week 1. We're in transition. I think we all can admit that, right?
I mean, Kenny Pickett in so many ways becomes a definition for the circular plan that they have that just is a dog chasing its own tail for this year. Is it not? 216-474-0092. What should the plan for the Browns be? I'll ask you guys that. 216-474-0092. Can you guys make sense of that audio? If he's that good, then why are we giving him up for a 5th-round pick? Why didn't we give up somebody else? If he's that good, if he was going to end up, if he was like in line to maybe be a starter, why are we getting rid of the guy if our plan is to win football games when we're going into year 6? 216-474-0092. It's nonsensical. Mary Kay in just over an hour. And, it sucks, but I can't be that mad when the guy hits home runs against us.
Anthony Lima, 4. Diamonds Direct, Quarter Richmond.
92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Anthony Allant.
Sports Talk on The Fan, presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game live Sunday on CBS, Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today.
Mary Kay Cabot coming up at 8:21 this morning, just 1 hour from now. I want to play this Aditi audio again. This is Aditi. People are lined up to get in. I'm going to get to you guys here in just a moment. I want to know what the plan is, because if they were sitting on if they had another quarterback that was a sleeping giant, I'm going to take my bottom lip and I'm going to stretch it over my face, and that's going to be the end of it. Here's Aditi on 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. This is an argument about Kenny Pickett.
Who do you think has a better chance of being an NFL starting quarterback? Kenny Pickett or Shedeur Sanders? What would you say?
Kenny Pickett.
So then why keep Sanders over Pickett?
I can tell you, I don't want to insult anybody, but I can name starting quarterbacks in the current National Football League whose coaches have told me that Kenny Pickett is better than the guy that they are starting.
Okay, but why keep Sanders over Pickett then?
Because you used a draft pick on him. We've seen plenty of teams cut draft picks that they just drafted. There are plenty of questions associated with why you would draft a quarterback just 2 rounds after a quarterback that you very clearly liked so much, but that's what they did. And Andrew Berry is someone who has not been known to cut loose a guy that he just drafted. And so there you are. And now the development of these quarterbacks becomes yet another thing that Kevin Stefanski has to figure out and deal with amidst massive circus that surrounds anything and everything related to Shedeur Sanders.
The other side of this, that audio courtesy of our sister station, 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. The other side of this is that if Kenny Pickett is better than Shedeur, maybe Shedeur is just garbage, and we just haven't seen it yet. We're hoping that there's some sort of get-out-of-jail-free card with our franchise that we can get past on a rookie contract with a young quarterback and not have to deal with the dead cap hit left over by Deshaun Watson. Where there was more videos of him, by the way, yesterday.
He is looking
more workout
spry.
videos. It's body shaping with Galad every single day on Twitter.
Right there on the beach?
Yes. Lord.
It's him, Quincy Avery.
Every single day. Here's another video,
Ken. They're just out there going through calisthenics every day.
Meanwhile, 88% of fans polled by our station right now saying, nope, don't want to see him ever again. I'm telling you, I think they see that. They had to have seen that poll and Quincy Avery sitting there going, fix your wagon. Here you go. Anyway, I mean, if you're saying that Kenny Pickett's good, again, what's your plan then? What is your guys' plan? Because it's nonsensical in so many ways. Like, if you're going to do it, I hate tanking. I hate it. I don't think it works. I really don't. There's teams that they're not good and they happen to find themselves a good quarterback, but I seriously think that there's so many times where you go out of your way to not win football games and it ends up biting you in the ass in football. Maybe not as much in basketball, but certainly in football, I think it does. And I hate it, but man, if you're going to go one way, you got to go one way. This is such a weird, like, you're trying to win games, but you're not trying to win games. We're getting ready for the future, but we're not getting ready for the future. You brought in Kenny Pickett. You took away some reps. Okay, but if you thought that he was going to be like a line and a starter, like we had Andrew Siciliano yesterday on the preview show, and I disagreed because he's like, well, they trade him for a 5th-round pick. You kick the tires on him. It's a net win. And I'm going, really, I don't know if it's a net win because I didn't think he was going to be a starter. And there was a brief conversation where me and some other people were going, well, he might have been in line to be a starter had it not been for the injury. And I'm thinking, okay, but it's still a hamstring injury. He's going to come back. It's not going to be Dak Prescott bad where he has to get surgery. At least that's not what we heard. So if he's in line to be a starter at any point sooner than later, or he could have actually won the job, why are you trading him?
Could it be Kenny? And I am playing devil's advocate here.
When your jobs are arguably on the line.
Because you and I have the same feeling on him in general and what his ceiling is, and we didn't understand bringing him in to begin with, especially when a month later they go and get Joe Flacco. We didn't understand what that meant. Is this, devil's advocate, is this them understanding they've got to simplify, declutter the quarterback room because it didn't work out? Like the way, and I know camp is different from the NFL actual regular game week preps, week in and week out. But is there a chance that they're like, we had good intentions on this, but we can't have Pickett and Flacco here? Makes no sense. It gets in the way of the young quarterbacks. Why
does it make no sense? Yes, well, it does get in the way of the young quarterbacks, but if you think that guy is flat out better than those guys, and your objective is to try to win football games because you're trying to do right by your veterans and your own job, then you're not getting rid of him for a fifth-round draft choice. I don't care about fifth-round draft choices. I don't care about him. You may use another fifth-round draft choice for Amari Cooper at some point, but you traded him for a reason. And when you first trade him for him, remember, he's the first guy in the room. So there had to be some intention to start the guy. So you're telling your fan base that Dylan Gabriel's better and Shedeur is better by getting rid of him for a fifth-round draft choice. That's what you're saying. So if he goes out and he ends up being a good quarterback for the Raiders, then you have to answer for that. Because if Joe goes out there and the wheels come off the way they seem to do at the beginning of seasons after the beginning of seasons for Joe, and you don't get much out of Dylan and you don't get much out of Shedeur, and then you have this albatross of a quarterback that's basically a body shaping video every single day, then you're going to have to answer for that. Someone's going to have to answer for that, or the fan base is going to go nuts. Or they're just going to tune you out, which is the exact opposite of what they want. So you better figure something out, because I hate doing this, because I'm supposed to come up with a damning opinion on everything at every single point doing this, and the only thing I can do is ask more questions. And I'm not saying anything by asking more questions because I'm frustrated. Over Kenny Pickett, of all people. When Aditi says that, Aditi talks to coaches. Aditi is no liar. Now, I think that she does like Kenny Pickett. I do think that. And there might be some, I'll say, confirmation bias, because if I have a thought and an NFL coach texts me during the show and says, hey, Ken, you're right about this, and Anthony's wrong, especially that, because I love arguing with you. But if they say that I'm right about something, I'm gonna run with that as fast as I possibly can. So maybe that's a little bit of it. There's always, every NFL player, every NFL quarterback especially, has some coach that's in their corner. Mike in North Canton, home of the Vikings, he's next up on the Fan. Hello.
Hey, good morning, guys. I think their plan is to run the ball and play defense because there's no top 10 quarterback available at this time. And why they brought him in, he got hurt. They gave up on him too fast.
Well, so to go out and win games, that's a plan. But you got the second first, because I could look at it, Mike, and thank you for the call. If Travis Hunter ends up being good, then I could go, well, Travis Hunter could have kept people distracted. Travis Hunter could have been a threat for you. If you have these 2 first-round picks, it seems like that's insurance where, hey, if we win enough games, then we can still use these picks to move up. But they don't really do business like that. Remember, the same guy who was here in 16 and 17 is still here. So if you haven't done business like that, I just would like to think that you didn't think it worked the first time, or the franchise went in another direction, went and got John Dorsey. You didn't think that was a good decision. You didn't think it was a good decision to bring in Baker Mayfield. I would think that you're probably going back to that, unless you're challenging your guideposts again. Guardrails. Larry in Cleveland, you're next up on the Fan.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think Aditi, she don't like Shedeur, and they just had some stuff. I don't think Mary Kay like him either. They were just had some stuff on Facebook, and they was talking about how the 2 women in Cleveland don't like him, and they always talking.
Well, Larry.
Or did they just say he's not ready to be the quarterback of a football team right now?
You got to be careful what you see on Facebook. I cannot tell you how many fake Brown stories I have seen over the last month on Facebook.
Right.
So you got to be careful if you're looking on Facebook and stuff. I don't think Aditi has anything against Shedeur Sanders, certainly, and I really don't think Mary Kay has anything against Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah. But and then too, I think Kenny Pickett, he was garbage. I mean, I don't even see why they even brought him in, because, I would have started, in my opinion, just me, I would have went out and got any of those rookies that was in the draft and tried to start them and see what they had before I would have went and got Kenny Pickett.
See, I feel the same way. I feel the exact same way, Larry. Thank you very much for the call. I feel the same way. So, and these guys are NFL coaches. They're surely supposed to know more than me about Kenny.
Yeah, and I get it. If you are in love, and we have plenty of listeners from here and around the country that are in love with Shedeur Sanders, you're hearing us talk about Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel is the number 2. You're not hearing us talk Shedeur, and that conversation is gonna is especially right up until kickoff in however many days against the Bengals, you're not going to hear anything about Shedeur because he's not ready right now, according to the Browns, according to any of the reporters. Like, nobody thinks right now Shedeur Sanders is ready to be the quarterback immediately. Now, do I think Dylan Gabriel is ready early on? I don't think he's ready either, but I haven't been there every day. And I'm not running the team. I'm not there in the rooms, in the film rooms, and in the study sessions, and all those situations. I'm not there, so I get it. You're going to be frustrated, but if you think, Kenny, these people are frustrated now, imagine if the Browns start out 0-3 and Joe Flacco is still the quarterback.
I'm not even talking about the other the rookie quarterbacks in particular. I haven't had a chance to really say their names. I'm talking about winning, man. That's what I'm talking about. You're going into year 6. You have to put something there on the scoreboard that says you guys know what you're doing. I'm hearing the guys in the afternoon debating whether or not Kevin Stefanski's a real guru when it comes to offense. And there's plenty of reasons why you would say he's not. And then outside of Cleveland, there's a bunch of people, he knows his offense. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, definitely knows what he's doing. I don't know, a Browns fan would look at it and go, I don't know, do they know what the hell they're doing? Do they know it? Because it just seems that people just blame the Browns for ineptitude. Well, if they're part of the ineptitude, then I'm sorry, it's blamed right on you now, isn't it? 216-474-0092. I mean, if you're telling me that it was worth it because he could have started, then why are you trading him for a 5th-round pick that you might not even be able to use? Because you will no longer be employed if you lose that many games. Let that sink in for a second. If part of the argument was, hey, it was fine to bring in Kenny Pickett, it was fine to take away reps from the kids. Why? Well, he could have started. Then why are you trading him for a 5th-round pick that you might not be able to use? Eric in Akron, you're next up on the Fan.
I think the plan is to keep expectations low so that way they keep their jobs. So if Kenny Pickett really...
That's what I do every day.
Yeah.
I think if Kenny Pickett really was, quote-unquote, better than all the other quarterbacks in the room, well, they can't be having that. They got to get rid of that and keep expectations low so everybody thinks Andrew Berry and Stefanski's a genius. They just have bad talent and a bad roster.
Eric, it can't be that. Tell me it's not that, Eric.
I sure hope not, Ken. I really do.
Oh, God, Eric, thank you for the call. Jay in Akron. Jay, hello.
Hey, morning, gentlemen.
Hi, Jay.
I believe that Kenny Pickett was just an insurance policy. We looked at our roster early in the year, and Deshaun Watson was literally the only quarterback on the roster. As soon as we got Joe, Kenny was expendable. And my second thought is I think Shedeur Sanders is our 2026 draft pick. That's the only reason they're stashing him so hard, keeping him in bubble wrap. We took a flyer on him. I figured they get him in-house, get him in camp, put a year training on him, and let's see what happens next year.
What if they lose? What if they lose their jobs? What's going to happen?
Then the same thing that always happens. Blow it up, start over again.
So if they keep their job, say they win, how many games do you think they're going to win, Jay?
I think they're in the hunt in October. As long as they're on that graphic, that's all that matters.
Really? Okay. Because I was expecting you to say 5 wins or something like that.
No, we're going to be in the hunt because honestly, I'm looking at the state of the league. What is the real difference between Pittsburgh and their old quarterback and us and our old quarterback? Are our rosters that dramatically different?
I mean, I've said that, for how many years between us and Pittsburgh. What's the difference? Well, the difference at the end of the year is always like 5-6 wins.
Well, Jay,
it seems like they always
true story.
Find a way.
Do you think they're in the hunt in October with Joe Flacco?
With Joe Flacco, yes. If Joe turns into a pumpkin, then yeah, we're gonna do the Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. Let's see what Bailey Zappy disappointment, whatever that is. But I feel like as long as Joe is upright, we're in the hunt.
I'm not trying to trap you on anything, Jay. It's because I just think I'd like to think the same way you are, Jay, and thank you for the call. I just think we keep running into a wall here. I know we got to get to about last night. Just let me say this extremely quickly, as quickly as I possibly can. If you're in the hunt with Joe, and you're in the hunt with Joe in October, well, Joe's 40 years old. So there's really no future there unless you can convince yourself, and he can convince himself he wants to play at 41. Maybe he does. But are you really going to drop the enticement of this rookie class that looks as of right now that it's going to be good? I don't think you're going to be able to do such a thing. Are you going to be able to hold on to Shedeur Sanders even if you do keep your job if you only win 5 games? No, you're going to want to go after one of those rookies because the enticement as of right now is just too great. So we keep these are the best intentions for everybody, but we keep running into walls with real life. About last night coming up in moments. Also, Mary Kay 821. Is Kevin Stefanski safe for the entire season? There's a sports book that says, I don't know about that.
Got to tell you about.
can happen around the globe that we never hear of.
I really share in our fans' disappointment, frustration. Honestly, I'm embarrassed.
They've been through some tough battles, right? They know what the playoffs looks like. This team's been battle-tested in the playoffs.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him. How he couldn't please his wife, so now he's divorced.
Put a damn winning team on the field.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
We will get to the man of the hour from yesterday's Guardians win in just a moment, but I want to start off in Berea yesterday, where head coach Kevin Stefanski talked with reporters about a number of topics, including trying to get some development from the rookie quarterbacks despite them not getting the same type of reps throughout this upcoming regular season.
Development is ongoing for rookie players, and we're extremely intentional about developing our players at all positions, certainly the quarterback position. So every minute of their day will be accounted for within the rules, don't worry. And we'll make sure that we bring them along and not just assume they're just going to get better by osmosis, which they will. They'll learn a lot from just sitting in the meeting room, but we're going to make sure that we're bringing them along with extra meeting time, extra time on the field, being smart about what we do before practice, after practice, during practice, all those type of things.
It's all part of that plan that we're asking what the plan possibly is.
Yeah. Where's the draft at next year?
You know what? I don't know.
I'm at a bad place right now. Is it Pittsburgh? I think it's in Pittsburgh.
Oh, you're right. I think it is.
All right. Well, I mean, if we find ourselves a franchise quarterback in Pittsburgh at the draft, that's another way to zing the Steelers. Oh, I got their fans upset again yesterday on the internet. I retweeted Bob Pompiani. It's a Pompiani. I don't mean to be disrespectful to his last name. I know, Pompiani?
That's what I thought.
You sure?
I don't know.
I don't know. I know he's been on the air there for like 40 years, but it was all the things that the Browns have done that is bad. And I go, yeah, we still have one more playoff win since T.J. Watt's career started.
You're right. That is in Pittsburgh next year. Point State Park. I've not been there, so I don't really know what to expect for the upcoming draft next year.
They're talking about
Going over to the Guardians game yesterday, a win to take the series over the Tampa Bay Rays. Nolan Jones, who, as we mentioned before, has not gone yards since July, connected in the ninth inning to tie
Power
the
surge, Mitch. Here we go. Ready for a stretch run.
That is home run number 4 on the season, I believe, for Jones.
There we go.
Startled me a little bit.
The man talked yesterday, and even he is kind of like, yeah, you know what, this is great, just hasn't been my year.
I've struggled in the big leagues before. Struggled last year. Obviously, I had big plans to have a big bounce back year and help this club win, and that hasn't been the case. You know, my opportunities have been a little more limited recently. When I get those opportunities, trying to do what I can to take advantage of them and help this team win.
Did you say opportunities have been limited recently?
Who knows?
Well, yeah, I'm
not trying to be negative about him.
He's been given opportunities that I think the entire city that follows baseball is ready for him not to get those opportunities anymore.
It got to the certain point where I'm like, you know how Gabriel Arias is having trouble hitting to the left side of the field? That's all I expected from Nolan at some point this season because the guy just was not hitting for power. When you see something like that yesterday, though, that's promising, especially down this month-long stretch we're going to have this season. We have 30 games left, and we're 66 and 66. It's going to take a long, big winning streak to get into a playoff spot, but it's not impossible right now.
Went to the game yesterday?
I did.
What'd you do with the other ticket?
I just walked in and just didn't use the other ticket. It was too soon to game time for either me to sell the ticket or
sell the ticket.
You wanted to,
yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I don't know if you wanted to say that, buddy boy.
Did you ask for a second ticket, or did you purchase a second ticket?
You're going to scare him, and then he's not going to be able to talk, so be careful.
I'm not scared of anything right now.
You're like a deer in the backyard.
But what was the question, Lima?
Whether or not you had asked for a second ticket.
No, I was just given a second ticket.
Don't be too loud, or he's going to run off.
Could you have been just given a third ticket or a fourth?
I don't think so. I think this is the only one that I had gotten.
And then when you took the second ticket, you looked at it and said, "Whew, how is this young puppy going to find a home?"
The only other option would have been to call my dad, and he lives over an hour away, and we were less than an hour from game time, so I wasn't going to make him come to a late game.
That's some nice
7 innings.
Father-son bonding.
We'll have father-son bonding this weekend when I take a quick trip home.
Inning.
So.
When you have tickets to what?
When I take a quick trip home.
Oh.
Where you going home for?
Laundry to do. The oil changes to make.
That actually is part of the reason why. The laundry, not the oil change.
Who's folding it?
I am.
Who's ironing it?
I am. Actually, I don't. No, I don't iron my shirts. No, I don't.
Do you own an iron?
I don't.
Let's move on, Mitch.
We have the Club Shay Shay podcast yesterday.
Yeah,
Ty Lue makes an appearance alongside Shannon Sharp and to disclose some details about the late teens Cavs regarding the LeBron James, Kyrie Irving saga and the end of it. This is what Ty Lue had to say.
I begged and pleaded, Kobe.
LeBron said he begged and pleaded, said, hey, don't trade him. He still got a year on his contract. Don't trade him.
Bron was doing an autograph signing. Right. So I come sit next to Bron. We sitting there, handling the phone, Sports Center. Kyrie Irving's just been traded to the Boston Celtics. Man, Bron dropped the marker and just lays back in his chair for about 10 minutes. Doesn't say a word. Just pissed off. Bron was crushed. And I saw when that happened, I thought Bron would do something different, sooner than later. And that's what he did.
You believe LeBron would have stayed in Cleveland had Kyrie stayed in Cleveland?
Yes.
He also said that the Cavs probably would have won 2 or 3 more titles had the two remained in Cleveland together.
And adding that if Kevin Durant would not have been, that's a big
caveat,
big moment of clarity there. When that happened, we talked about a little bit. It just comes up. It's funny. This keeps coming up every week in the world of the NBA about Kyrie and why he was just felt disenfranchised or wanted to be out of there, just couldn't coexist with LeBron. And I said at the time, can't LeBron make this right? Can't he smooth this over? And the general feeling I got from people very close to the situation was LeBron had no interest in doing that. And here it's interesting to hear Ty Lue say LeBron was mad. Well, did he do anything to try to
Well, he might have been mad, but was he interested in holding his hat in his hand and going to Kyrie? I mean, you can be mad all you want, but you can also be proud, and proud can get in the way of your anger.
Yeah, and I wonder if Kyrie's act had worn thin, just like LeBron. He might have been sick and tired of being involved in trade rumors. I'm talking about Kyrie, and maybe, eventually when you win a title, you feel like people can't talk to you the same way. Whatever. Kyrie's got a slew of his own problems, but what about the other end of this? It does take two sides.
We might have another podcast topic for later because Ty Lue in that same interview also said that Michael Jordan could average 45 points in today's NBA. We're going to leave that there.
A lot of points.
Also in basketball yesterday, Dawn Staley on Candace Parker and Aaliyah Boston's podcast saying that she did interview for the Knicks job and she would have taken it.
So would you ever seriously take an NBA job?
I interviewed for the Knicks. I did. It was the same interview that everybody else that was in their candidate pool. Same thing. Went in. It was like hours in the interview. I thought I did pretty well. I was well prepared. If the Knicks would have offered me the job, I would have had to do it. Not just for me, it's for women, just to break open that. And it's the New York Knicks. And I'm from Philly, but it's the freaking New York Knicks.
So she didn't get the Knicks job. Is there a possibility she could take another coaching job in the future?
So I was just talking to somebody.
Come right here.
In the last week.
You come here.
About how, forget about the Becky, we bring up the same familiar female names. She's the one. She's the one I think NBA players would actually listen to.
You come here. Dan, make it happen. Pay everything. Make her come here. It will help sell out the building. Dawn Staley coaches Cleveland in 2028, if not sooner.
Well, you're talking WNBA, though, right?
Well, yeah, we have Kenny Atkinson with our NBA team.
We're talking NBA.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the WNBA. I have no reason to get rid of Kenny Atkinson.
Well, if Kenny has another early exit in the playoffs this year, what would you say?
And we're going to do this?
Would you be open to it?
And he'll get a stenography out and write her a letter and get her ass up here.
Great.
Yeah, she's not interviewing for WNBA jobs.
Okay.
Right. I don't think she wants WNBA jobs.
Offer only.
I mean, she's probably doing better.
Why can't she be on the WNBA job?
I think that's beneath her current position. I think there are people.
How much does she make at South Carolina?
I think Gino Auriemma would say the same thing. I think these college coaches would say that their deal in college is a better deal than what they would have in the WNBA.
She makes $4 million. What if they gave her $6 million? Is that beneath her?
That might change the scope of that. I wonder what the Knicks would have paid her. See, the Knicks probably would have put her at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to what coaches are getting paid in the NBA.
And that's it for About Last Night.
Great as always, Mitchie. Coming up at 8:20 this morning, Mary Kay Cabot going to join us on the show. Is Kevin Stefanski safe for the entire season? Coming up in just about 5 minutes. It sucks, but it's not like other sports. I can't be mad at Chris Antonetti for this. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for the wonderful people at Daisy Dip, and they make the best dip. And I know because I've dipped my chips in their dip. It's wonderful dip. I've dipped my veggies in their dip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. The wings, all the fabulous things that you can dip with French onion.
1 with the Cincinnati Bengals. They did add a few more players into the mix on waiver day around the NFL. They'll even added running back Raheem Sanders and defensive back Jarek Bernard-Converse. They also signed receiver Malachi Corley and former first-round guard Cole Strange to the practice squad. They'll even finished off the day adding yet another quarterback to the mix. Last year's Week 18 starter Bailey Zappy will head to the practice squad. Headline sports news every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Anthony Allant.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive, weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan.
I can get pretty upset with Chris Antonetti and the Guardians about a few things, but not this. That in just moments. Also, Mary Kay Cabot coming up at 8:20 this morning. Folks, don't miss a moment from earlier on our show or any of our local shows on 92.3 The Fan. Click the rewind function on the absolutely free Odyssey app, brought to you by Montrose Ford. Choose Click Cruise at montroseford.com. You can listen back to any of our segments from the past 72 hours. Lots of good segments, lots of good stuff. Non-Shador stuff. It's true. Also, Doug Lesmerises is going to join us. We'll talk about Ohio State, Texas coming up at 9:21 this morning. You asked me during a break, and I said, we got to bring that to the show. Am I allowed to be mad? Or you asked, am I mad about Junior Caminero? Because is he at 39 or 40 right now, home runs? And we traded away Junior Caminero, and there's some revisionist history. I think it's different. I want to be mad because our offense sucks, but I got to be fair. I mean, he didn't play in Cleveland. If he were a player in Cleveland, I think it's probably fair game because we get to see him. You trade away prospects. Sometimes your prospects end up being great baseball players.
Yeah, the funny thing is the difference between baseball and the two sports that are more in the national conversation in the NBA and the NFL is that when there is a trade of either young players or draft picks, we feel, even though it's totally not accurate, but we feel like we can talk about young players in the other leagues more definitively because we haven't seen any of the prospects in baseball. Very few have even seen them in college. And then, in the minor league systems, guys are just gone. Let me know, wake me up when they're on the doorstep of getting the call up. Like, then we start to pay attention to numbers a little bit. Someone like this, I can guarantee you, not one person called a sports talk radio show or even went to social media and blasted the organization. So on this one, no one can go back and say, I told you so. I knew that if Junior was given the chance, he was going to blossom. Like, even the Guardians admitted, they admitted 2 years ago that they blew this one.
The only thing I would say is if he were traded for help that would have helped in a season, like, he was traded for another prospect for pitching. If he would have been traded for, I guess if he's traded for another prospect, I think you have a little bit of leeway there to be angry. But if he's traded, if guys are traded, prospects are traded for guys who are supposed to help you in a season, then it's very hard for me to get upset. And I don't think that with some of the stuff that we've seen, and maybe I'm just sitting here making big fat excuses for Chris Antonetti and you think differently, fine, 216-474-0092. I think that if he were traded for those guys who could help now, you'd even have less of an argument. But I don't think anybody was calling us up screaming about Junior Caminero, saying that he was going to be a fantastic home run hitter. It sucks. But I thought about it like in the case with Lauri Markkanen. When Lauri Markkanen first went to Utah and ended up having a tremendous season and was all-star quality, I could see why people were upset. As much as I still thought it was revisionist, I didn't think that there were very many people that were yelling about trading away Lauri Markkanen at the time we traded away Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton. I didn't hear that much, but there might have been some people and they were upset, and you saw him play in the NBA. So yes, you have the right, every right, to be mad. And we can argue about it. Because I still argued, I said I'd rather have Donovan Mitchell. There were some weird takes at the beginning of Donovan Mitchell's time here with the Cleveland Cavaliers. This, it's like, yeah, that's unfortunate. Them's the breaks. That sucks. It sucks. He's a home run hitter. He's done fantastic. You're not going to be able to get him back. And now that I see Kyle Manzardo, and he's not an everyday player, he's becoming an everyday player, but he hasn't really been an everyday player. I see some promise there. I've seen him in the bigs. If they were to trade away Kyle Manzardo too soon, yeah, I'd be beside myself and upset because we're looking for any sort of offense that we can find.
But is anybody out there, I know in the past, and we have trusted almost to a fault the Guardians organization, but for good reason. They had proven themselves to be able to do the most with the least for so long that they won so many trades over time, so many of the prospect trades that is essential for them to be able to reload because they're not going to do it in free agency. So it has to be through trading for prospects, and sometimes they trade away prospects, and oftentimes in the past they'd gotten stronger by doing it. Now, over the last few years, and especially when you play a team like Tampa as a couple of your guys who you either gave up on, way too soon or didn't identify as being strong enough in your farm system, that, those chickens come home to roost on that. And then they deserve that criticism. It's just, is anybody screaming and yelling at the Guardians today over this one? Like, they're disappointed.
It's a layer that goes on to their frustration. Like, this has been a bad season, and this is a disappointing season. And I think for the first time in a long time, for the first time since Manny Acta, I think we have more questions than answers about the future of the baseball team. When Manny Acta was gone and then they brought in Terry Francona, I think that answered what a lot of people were wondering with the baseball team. And then they were able to develop nice players, and obviously they had a World Series run in 2016. But I think now the pitching staff, I got Gavin Williams, who in the last month has been as good and as terrible as a pitcher could be. I have Slade Ciccone, who was great in the month of July. You thought you had a real diamond in the rough there. That has gone to hell, at least in the month of August. Hopefully it's going to get better as time goes on. I'm not giving up on any of these guys. Logan Allen's, whatever. And then you have Tanner Bybee who's getting in shouting matches in the dugout. Do we have a John Boy for that yet? No?
That's shocking. Normally they are on it.
Went John Boying earlier today and did not see one.
I mean, we should have a John Boy by now. It's been a couple of days. I'd hope they'd have
Sometimes he gets to it over the week.
Lip reading of the shouting match. What's he got going on?
He does a lot of Yankee stuff now.
They can't get... I mean, Chris Rose works for John Boy. We can't get Chris Rose to do it?
They have a schedule breakdown of that.
Fine. Either way. My pitching staff, my rotation hasn't been great. And I believe that a lot of folks are wondering about the future. And for that point, I think we're putting a little bit too much on Parker Messick as he has started his career because we're looking for an ace. We've become accustomed in the last 20 years of having an ace on this
every
staff.
year.
And having a guy who's in the conversation for the Cy Young. And we don't have that right now. And I think it scares me. And Owen brought it up yesterday. This all really started with Tristan McKenzie and how that went south. And so I worry about that. I think that the baseball writers have been too critical of Travis Bazzana for a while here this year. He's been injured. But when you get Travis Bazzana going next year, he has to come to fruition. He has to hit. Kyle Manzardo has to have another good year next year to calm down some of this stuff because Francona had a way that he would calm people down because he had cachet. He had 2 World Series championships. Stephen Vogt, I think, is a good man and a good manager, but that can wear thin. And
especially if you're not winning.
And when I have a 33-year-old guy, he's about to be 33 years old coming up on September 17th, now the clock is really starting to tick on the window being open for Jose Ramirez. And if you can't help this club keep their window open with Jose, the guy who took your hometown discount. Because say Kyle Manzardo does become your 40 home run a year hitter. And maybe he does. He will price himself out of Cleveland. He will be that guy. So what are we doing to keep our window open with Jose while we can? Because there's going to be no other hometown discounts.
No, the only chance they get at a discount is if they did who was the team 3 days ago that just signed their rookie who had played in like 20 games.
If this is an 80 and below win team, next year and the year after that, I think it's unforgivable. Now, I do wonder, and I brought this up earlier in the show, you can go back and listen to that, 923thefan.com. Is their business model, is it almost proof of you not caring about it, you not caring about winning anymore? Because I still see a lot of young people. I've seen a lot of young people at the ballpark, and I think they're spending the $50 a month pass and going to the ballpark and using it as a bar. Which, by the way, Glad they're doing. You might as well have fun in the summertime in Cleveland. According to your meteorologist, say, we only get 45 perfect days a year. You might as well spend it at the ballpark. That's great. But I don't think the poor attendance argument is punishment for the Guardians anymore, the way that some of us thought before. Like, we're going to tell you, we're going to send our message by not going to the ball game. If they're averaging 24 or 25,000 next year, the same as they're doing this year, even if there was a hit of 23,000, I don't think it's going to matter that much. Now, if you're in the 17s and things like that, that's huge, and then you have yourself a massive problem there. And then you are still results-based.
Which they were in 2021.
But if you're not results-based as much as you are, what message am I going to send? And that's only going to kill the fever for it. Because before it was, hey, tickets are all expensive. So now you have to choose. Are you going to football? Are you going to basketball? Are you going to baseball? If you're at $50 a month or even $55 a month by the time the season starts, that's still not a lot of money to spend on a month of baseball, where Owen's getting his money's worth when he's going to 35 baseball games a year this year. I mean, that's a lot. He'll probably end with 40 baseball games by the time it's all done. I mean, that's definitely worth the money.
Well, that's why I'm definitely wondering if next year they're going to take out the frustrations about this very mediocre, big letdown from an ALCS season, whether that's going to impact next year's numbers, or are they going to be pumped about having the young guys? Because you're going to have 3 young guys in the middle of that order.
I'll talk myself into being pumped about the young guys because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. So as angry as I've been, I still think I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I haven't been as angry recently, obviously, because they've been better. The 10-game losing streak, that took a lot out of it. There was a lot of stuff that was said during that time, and I'm still going to get to you about that probably tomorrow about it, because it still bothers me, some of the stuff that you said. But it's been a good organization. For the most part, they've made the right moves. I'll still get excited about the future, but for the first time since Manny Acta, which is a bad era for everybody, for the first time since Manny Acta, I got a lot more questions than I have answers. I didn't even bring up Stephen Kwan. And what are we going to do with Stephen Kwan? This is 3 straight years where he's cooled off in the second half. Mary Kay Cabot coming up in 5 minutes. Is Kevin Stefanski safe for the entire season? And, man, when you're arguing about Kenny Pickett, all things, are you really setting yourself up to have a good year? Ken Carmen, Anthony Lima, live on The Fan.
Attention to detail. That is something you're going to see when you walk into Diamonds Direct at the corner of Richmond and Cedar Road to make that investment. You've been thinking about it forever. Is it finally that time to get the ring to pop the question? It's exactly where I did at Diamonds Direct, right off 271 on the east side, where the selection is huge. 3 to 5 times that of the other retailers. And when you walk in, you'll notice the difference, because they're going to have your favorite drink in hand, a relaxed environment where you can truly get the education that you want to get. And they have everything from $500 gifts to
for the New York Knicks job. Had the team offered it, Staley told the Post Moves podcast she would have taken it. Listen to the Fan Rewind weeknights 11 p.m. to midnight. All of the best segments from all of our shows, and you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Anthony Allant.
Koala Joe. Man, Ken, that Amazon delivery driver really set Sports Boy Tony off this morning. He's in rare form. He's mad and arguing about everything. Lima does not like people messing around in his driveway at 5 a.m.
No, the thing was that we had nothing but a cordial back and forth. My question was, what's it going to be in some of the other areas I've lived with? Thinking Parkersburg, they're going to want people coming down the driveways at 4 in the morning with the beams. They're going to like that.
Stereotyping everything. You want to just stereotype everything?
I don't know if they're going to. Yeah, especially in Parkersburg where I live, and there were Confederate flags in some of the homes. I don't think they're going to really enjoy strangers coming down their driveway. I'm just saying.
What are you delivering?
Reckless speculation.
You're delivering the Virginia Slims and prescription drugs? Is that what you're doing? Is that what you want to say?
But I can tell you that I had nothing but a nice back and forth with the individual. He might have been a listener to the show. I don't know. At 5 in the morning when his high beams were pointed directly at our house and then the neighbors.
Why? I mean, I'm from Canton, Ohio, and there's a lot of things that you bring up with Parkersburg, West Virginia. I'm like, I resonate with that. That resonates with me. What?
People were very nice to me.
Thanksgiving turkey. Tastes a little bit like a carton of Dourals. Why is that? Mary Kay Cabot joins us right now on the Fan Hotline. She's never had a Thanksgiving turkey that's tasted like a carton of Dourals. Hello, Mary Kay.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
We're doing wonderful. We are sent sportsbook odds like a few times a day because, we're radio show hosts. And we got a thing of odds, and it said the first coach fired in 2025. Kevin Stefanski has the fifth best odds, 15-2. He's tied with Dave Canales. Is Kevin Stefanski in any danger of losing his position during the regular season?
I don't think so. I really, really don't think so. And the reason why I feel that way is because the Browns are in franchise quarterback finding mode. This season is all about figuring out what they have in Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders so they can move forward into next year's draft and decide, can they get their hands on Arch Manning or one of these other excellent quarterbacks coming out next year? That's why they're poised with the 2 first-round picks. And I just don't think that Jimmy Haslam is going to hold Kevin Stefanski's or Andrew Berry's feet to the fire this year.
Well, Mary Kay, obviously, this has been an all-time different. I'm not going to say bad. We have no idea. Maybe they got the most out of these quarterbacks, but an all-time different evaluation period to the point where they were almost running it like a college program. 2 fields, the different quarterbacks, getting the reps when they can. And in the end, they said goodbye to Kenny Pickett. If Kenny Pickett was healthy, do you think there's a likelihood that he would be starting week 1 against Cincinnati?
I think yes, I do think that there was a chance that could have happened. I think they really liked Kenny a lot, and I think the hamstring injury really derailed his chances of trying to start for this team. And then they looked at it and realized, well, if they stick with Joe for a period of time, then they're going to want to turn it over to the rookies. They're not going to want to have that interim period of Kenny after that. So once he suffered the hamstring injury, he was out of the competition. And it's unfortunate for him and for the Browns, I think, because when they did trade for Kenny Pickett, I do truly believe that they had him in mind as their bridge quarterback for this season. And then it just kind of fizzled out when that happened. And so it made sense for them to trade him when ultimately in the beginning they did plan to keep all 4 quarterbacks at least for a period of time into the season and see what might happen with someone needing a starter or whatever. But I think the hamstring injury just kind of threw a monkey wrench into their plans.
Yeah, but Mary Kay, like if they plan on him being the bridge quarterback, why even trade him for a 5th-round pick? I just don't understand it.
Well, I probably would not have done it myself, and I said that on a podcast the other day. I probably would not have done it because I do think that you want to have that second veteran quarterback in the event that you need someone else early on besides Joe Flacco. I mean, you have to be really ready now and believe that Dillon Gabriel can get that job done. And sometimes a rookie can come in and do that, and sometimes they can't. And you never really know until they get out there and they try it. So I actually would have kept Kenny around just to see how things were going to go with Joe in the early going, and not being 100% certain that Dillon would be ready to take it over early on in the season. But they've seen enough apparently in Dillon where they feel like if Joe can't get the job done, they're going over to Dillon.
Mary Kay, their running back situation is very interesting and, dare I say, dicey to start out the year, given Pierre Strong is gone. You have Jerome Ford. They just picked up that Arkansas tailback, and Dylan Sampson. That's all you have. Teams typically, when it comes to running backs, they have more than what the Browns have right now. How do you feel about their situation? And are we getting any indication anytime soon on Quinshon Judkins?
Well, let me just say that the Quinshon Judkins situation has been a mystery. Nobody wants to talk about it at all. It's very difficult to find out any information whatsoever on what's going on with Quinshon Judkins. The only thing that I know for sure and that I've gotten confirmation of is that the NFL is still reviewing his case. Now, is that part of the holdup of why he's not here? I don't know. I don't know if there are discussions going on about the contract as it possibly relates to any NFL discipline, or if the contract has something more to do with the fact that 7 of the second-round picks have gotten full guarantees, and he wants that. I don't really know. It's really, really hard. The Browns will not say a word about anything. Usually you can get an inkling of something, and again, the only thing that I know is that the NFL is still taking a look at this, even though his charges have been dropped. Now, we do know also that when we talked to Jimmy Haslam earlier in training camp, that he said he was cautiously optimistic that Quinshon would be here. And I have heard rumblings that other people feel that way too, inside the organization. So I guess everyone can just kind of wait and hope that before too long he will show up on the doorstep, but it has been shrouded in mystery.
I would also ask, yesterday the news came down about Rashid Rice and his suspension, 6 games. Is it just a pecking order thing that they have, so many guys in the queue every single year at any given time in the NFL when it comes to player discipline, and they just got to wait their turn? I mean, how many cases can they all be investigating at the same time?
Well, you're right about that. Once you hear about one guy getting his discipline handed down, you start to hear about the others shortly thereafter. So when that news happened yesterday, I thought, I've got to be at the ready because something could happen with Quinshon at any time. And I've heard a number of different things. Now, remember, the NFL is not only reviewing his case, but also that of Isaiah Bond and Devin Bush on the Browns. So they do have 3 different things going on here in terms of Cleveland, and I don't know when something is going to happen, but it does seem like they are working through their punch list now. No pun intended. Sorry about that.
No, we understand. There's that's a lot. That's 3 guys. I mean, Isaiah Bond is expected to start contributing on Sunday, for crying out loud, Mary Kay. I mean, that's. I want to get excited for the season and think, maybe they could hit the over a little bit. Not that, 6 wins is anything to get really excited over, because I like the offensive line and I like the defensive front. But man, my God, when you're saying that, it's like, well, if they announce it today, it's like these are starters that are off your football team.
Well, in the case of Isaiah Bond, I had been told that no discipline is expected. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, because, like I said, whenever I talk to the NFL, they just keep saying these 3 cases are still under review. So I have no idea if they're planning on doing anything with him or not, but that was one where, I was told a few times not expecting anything there. But I've also been told that by not people inside the building or anything, but just league sources out there that perhaps Quinshon isn't going to get any league discipline either. So I really don't know. I really don't know how it's going to go down for any of these guys. But I do think that the Browns have what they need to accomplish the running game effectively until he gets back. They've got their leading rusher from last year, Dylan Sampson. Their change-up sort of third down back has looked good in camp. Rocket comes in here with a good reputation of being very explosive and able to produce some yards. And, we'll have to see how that goes. They've got their practice squad guys in Marshall and Williams. So they're going to be able to run the ball. They've got a good offensive line, and they will be able to get their ground game going, just not to the extent that they will when Quinshawn is back.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us on the show. Hey, by the way, so Glenn Cook talked to the media yesterday. Is he supposed to tell you guys before they've officially signed Bailey Zappy that they're signing Bailey Zappy?
No, these guys are very, very, very strict about the rules. And if a guy is not signed, they will not utter his name. They will not touch it. They will not go there. There were a couple of other guys yesterday, Malachi Corley and Cole Strange. They would not talk about them either. Until they are on their roster, they will not do it. And
of course.
How about off the record, Mary Kay? Did they ever do that off the record?
I'm sorry that came off as a stupid question to you, but I had to ask a stupid question because somebody decided to take up 20 minutes to try to make a stupid argument with me
Mary
earlier
Kay,
today.
how about off the record, where I see in plenty other organizations they feel comfortable sharing information to give reporters background or to prepare them or to even help the organization look better, which could happen as opposed to the shroud of secrecy that revolves around somebody like Bailey Zappy.
Off the record
Bailey
is
Zappy,
off the record.
That's going to give them the strategic win in week 1.
Do you understand the definition
Bailey
of
Zappy,
off the
Mary
record?
Kay, got to keep that under wraps.
Mary Kay, I'm sorry, my co-host doesn't understand
Bailey
what off the record
Zappy.
means.
Hey, talk amongst yourselves, guys. No, I'm just kidding. So the different organizations do things differently. I mean, you see the messaging on injuries. Some teams will come out immediately after a football game and say, we think a guy's got a torn ACL, but there will be further testing tomorrow. The Browns are very conservative about that. They're not going to jump the gun on injuries. They don't jump the gun on roster moves, and that's just the way they operate, and we just have to deal with it.
Mary Kay, did you see the latest Deshaun workout video?
Yes, I have. I actually retweeted, put it in a story that I wrote about Deshaun 2 days ago, kind of outlining what is going on with him and what his situation is and what the outlook is with him. So he's coming along. I do know that Jimmy Haslam, Andrew Berry, and Kevin Stefanski all kind of stood and watched one of those workouts of Deshaun Watson the other day. They liked what they saw from him. They were very encouraged about what's happening with him from a health standpoint. He looks good. You would never know that he had re-torn Achilles surgery in January right now. He has to be on PUP for 4 more games. But once you start to get into late October, they're going to have to make a decision on Deshaun Watson. Do they think about activating him, or does he remain on PUP for the rest of the season? So this is going to be something to watch as we approach the trade deadline.
Well, I want to ask, how cognizant is everybody of maybe the fans? Because, we put up a poll and a lot of people voted, and now it's not the end-all be-all for crying out loud, but 86.9% of those polled asking, would you be open to Deshaun Watson starting another game for the Browns this season? 86.9% said no.
Well, would some of those fans say the same thing if they knew that perhaps they could get, and I don't know if they could get this, the version of Deshaun Watson that beat Baltimore in Baltimore a couple of years ago? If they got that guy, would they want him? Do they just not want the guy that they saw last year? Do they not want the guy that comes with the baggage? So it's kind of a nuanced conversation. If you could get the version of Deshaun Watson who could win football games for you, and I don't know if that version even exists anymore, but I will say that he does look pretty good in these workouts right now. If you could get a winning quarterback, and not that he would have a chance to even play, but if you get to the trade deadline and you like what you see from Dylan and somebody comes calling for Joe Flacco, do you maybe think about putting Deshaun back on the roster as your backup and let Dylan play out the season and Shador play out the season, but kind of keep him as that one play away guy? I think that, there's just a larger discussion here that is pretty complicated.
All right. Tony, you got anything else for her?
No, I appreciate that. And I'm sure, Mary Kay, if there's anything you want to share with me off the record to better prepare me for future interviews.
You can't share it on the record. You can't share it on the air.
More than well, there was no off the record.
Off the record means off the record.
There was nothing off the record yesterday either, I was told. So if there's anything you want to do to help better prepare us to do our jobs even better, feel free off the record to share that information.
I'll do that. I'll text away.
See,
but then he can't say it on the air.
That's how professionals do it, Mary Kay.
You're not a professional.
But it also helps give you proper perspective and background. Thank you, Mary Kay.
Mary Kay, I apologize for the silliness next to me. Appreciate your time. All the very best to you and yours.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Mary Kay Cabot, the Cleveland Plain Dealer in Cleveland.com.
So to give people a glimpse, if you're just joining us live on YouTube, something we started this week, spearheaded around the entire company. From time to time, the two of us will get into a spat like that, and at times we will also have conversations while we have very important guests on, and we waste their time during the interview. So apologize for that.
Does she feel like her time has been wasted?
I don't know.
I don't think she does. I think she enjoys it. That's all I'm pointing out.
We could have done that together live at her Bill Nunn Award party for the Hall of Fame. But you weren't there, Kenny. You got to both be there to waste your time.
I was busy, and my son was ill. He threw up on the bus yesterday.
I know.
Not good. Yeah, what are you going to do? Doug Lesmarie, got to clean it up. Somebody has to. Doug Lesmarie is going to join us at 9:21 this morning. Coming up in 5 minutes, who are the Cleveland Moles spreading it? Kitty litter, too. Who are the Cleveland Moles spreading information to the New York Post and the international tabloids about one of the most famous football players in our region? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work. The Odyssey app is free, and when you're at work, go ahead and watch us on YouTube. I guarantee it's better than anything your boss is telling you. Friends, Ken Carman here for the
got twang. 92.3 The Fan has the most local sports talk in town, and you can be a part of it anytime you want. Weigh in on X at 92.3 The Fan and see our hosts make your reaction a part of our shows. Powered by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
The Browns are in franchise quarterback finding mode. This season is all about figuring out what they have in Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders so they can move forward into next year's draft and decide, can they get their hands on Arch Manning or one of these other excellent quarterbacks coming out next year? That's why they're poised with the 2 first-round picks, and I just don't think that Jimmy Haslam is going to hold Kevin Stefanski's or Andrew Berry's feet to the fire this year.
That's Mary Kay with us just moments ago. I'm going to get to this whole Cleveland mole thing here in just a moment. There was another thing that Mary Kay had said that now we are getting personal texts from friends about, apparently, that this better not happen, because there's a couple of people who have tweeted and have even called and hung up and said, she knows things. She knows people who are close to Watson. She might be laying out the future of this season for the Browns, and it's a future that a lot of fans don't seem to like. Here's Mary Kay about a hypothetical move that the Browns could make.
If they knew that perhaps they could get the version of Deshaun Watson that beat Baltimore in Baltimore a couple of years ago, if they got that guy, would they want him? Do they just not want the guy that they saw last year? Do they not want the guy that comes with the baggage? If you could get the version of Deshaun Watson who could win football games, if you could get a winning quarterback, and not that he would have a chance to even play, but if you get to the trade deadline and you like what you see from Dillon and somebody comes calling for Joe Flacco, do you maybe think about putting Deshaun back on the roster as your backup and let Dillon play out the season and Shedeur play out the season, but kind of keep him as that one play away guy? I think that, there's just a larger discussion here that is pretty complicated.
That is a pretty scary scenario for a lot of people because I think just
what
people
percentage?
are ready to move on.
What percentage?
What percentage?
Well, no, it's funny. We were talking about
89.6%. That's the percentage. That's where the poll ended. That's a very heavy no. Very, very, very heavy no. That do not want him ever to play for the Browns again. I think everybody's ready to move on. I mean, we cannot go back to holding on to second half of the Ravens game stuff here. No. Mm-mm. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me once, you can't get fooled again. Go ahead.
The funny thing is, I think I got to go back to the conversations we were having. I don't even think we were fooled the first time by that half. It was a nice half. I did not think that was going to be all of a sudden a revelation, moment for Deshaun Watson.
Who's we in that? Because there was plenty of people fooled by that. They were calling into this station.
They were. Well, we got into it. They were hoping.
We got into it with other shows, and that's probably it. Honestly,
they were just
that's
hoping.
not even. Oh, and that's not even to bash other hosts or other people that were saying it.
Right.
It's just we had seen it like the Deshaun Watson that I wanted, that I desperately wanted, was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and really there wasn't a lot of disagreement at the time about that.
I thought it was number 4.
The Deshaun Watson that we got, you could almost tell instantly. The body language, as we're looking at a lot of body language lately, the mechanics seem to be shot, and that off time, and this is where Ken was right and should do Champions Pose, that time away, it just killed him. And his mental edge was gone.
There was no confidence.
There was
on the
no confidence. The dude I saw, and I pulled up the highlights from his rookie year against Seattle, against the Legion of Boom.
Yes.
That guy was the most confident quarterback in the league. That was gone. That guy was totally gone. We were hoping for Michael Vick, who, when he came back from a couple of years away from football,
we didn't even get Marcus.
Was a better player, was a smarter player. We got a way worse player.
I caught that Marcus reference. Well done. If there's anything that does bother me, that when people write in chats and everything, it's like, this is the show that they celebrated getting Deshaun. I go, no, not one of them.
Yeah, I did.
Half. Well, I'm heavier, so I would say I'm even more than half of the show.
There were 13 fan bases that were livid they didn't get him.
Yeah, I understand that. I said I thought at the time he was a better quarterback, but I didn't celebrate it. I didn't think he was going to be that great. He ended up not being that great.
Make sure they heard that. You thought he was better than Baker.
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't want you to
gloss
over
that.
We got to both be wrong. If we're gonna live in the being wrong part of this, we got to both be wrong.
I'll admit to that every day. I thought he was better. I thought at the time he was better than Baker. I mean, Baker was
because he was better than Baker.
Baker was
He's
in
not now.
Dark place as a quarterback at that time. But fans are just done. He didn't want to. It's a broken record every time we talk about it. He don't want to be here. He never wanted to come here. So he only came here for money. There's no passionate. There's no drive to be better. There's none of that. And anybody who thought that was just simply fooled. That's all there was to it. And the sooner we can all move on, the better. We have to go through this year, and everybody has to be nice to each other. Again, I said the same thing about this year a month ago and a month before that, and I'll say the same thing about it in the future. So, yeah, even if he does play for the Browns, it's not where I don't think people are going to be mad. I think people are just going to tune out. That'll be the end of it. If he does end up playing for the Browns this year, that's it. And they're going to go, okay, see you in Pittsburgh in 2026 in April. It's Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, bring back Kenny Pickett, trade another fifth again, swap the fifth again, bring him back if you want to. Bailey Zappy. I think a lot of that probably when I said a couple of those last names, yeah, they'll probably still tune out. The other one, they'll make people tune out. That'll be it. They'll call it in for the year, and they're moving on to everything else and moving on to their winter time and trying to hunker down and getting ready for the draft. That ain't going to work. It was a programmatic non-fit from the start. It was something that I wish, obviously, because he ended up becoming a good quarterback, I wish we could take back. I really, really, really wish we could take back. We can't. The only thing we can do is learn from it.
Yeah,
so
the Browns would not have given up on this version of Baker Mayfield. They were giving up on a very different version, a younger, more immature version. And yes, he was injured, and both parties had a lot of culpability with how that was handled.
So if we got the number 1 overall pick and say we take Lenoris Sellers this coming year and he ends up having a rough patch here and there, let's please learn from the mistakes we made as radio show hosts, as I don't think we ran them out of town. They made their own decision, and as a person, if we're running people out of town, I'll tell you this.
The team literally ran him out of town by saying goodbye to him and going after a different quarterback.
If you go back and check the tapes from October of 2021, there was guys kicking the idea around on there just to kind of get the feeling of the fan base. And I kept going, no, I don't think the fans are going to like that. I don't think the fans are going to like that. Not really interested in doing that because we knew some things. And I was right about that, even though, yeah, I did feel that he was a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield at the time. That 100% wrong about that. But if we were running people in and out of town, I would not have ran him in town if I was that powerful. I'm not, but if I was, I would not have done that. So the only thing I can hope is that we all learn our lesson and we all settle down for a moment when we get whoever it might be. Maybe it'll be Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, or Shedeur Sanders, and we don't have to worry about it. More than likely not. We'll probably all have to move on because that's the way this all seems to work. The Kenny Pickett stuff doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, but I don't know how much stuff is going to actually make sense. But no, I think that a lot of fans, they'll just tune out if he ends up coming in. Doug Maurice is going to join us at 9:21 this morning. Who are these moles that are giving information to the New York Post and the international tabloids about
see
a famous football player settling his roots here?
Did you see this on page 6? An exclusive. I love when they throw exclusive under their big celebrity news, and they are like ground zero for anything Taylor Swift, is page 6. And what I saw this morning, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce eyeing $18 million Ohio mansion. Did you know there was an $18 million Ohio mansion over there on the east side? We knew Hunting Valley. We get some calls from Hunting Valley from time to time. What do we always say?
$18 million. Oh, congratulations on all your success.
On all your success. Of course, the same house, if it were in, say, a New York suburb or Long Island.
Would it be less?
Would it be more? It would be going for like
From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Anthony Allant.
The Buckeyes welcome the Texas Longhorns to the Shoe. Can Ryan Day repeat as a national champ and beat Michigan this year? Whenever you need to talk college football, we've got you covered. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Aditi was on 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh yesterday. I'm corresponding with Aditi right now. We might have her tomorrow.
Nice.
Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. Play the audio. Talk amongst yourselves real quick.
They've got to hear this because she was asked point blank, and you'll hear Andrew Filipponi, who joins us from time to time on our award-winning, renowned Around the AFC North segment. He had asked her flat out about the quarterback situation with the Cleveland Browns. Take a listen.
Who do you think has a better chance of being an NFL starting quarterback? Kenny Pickett or Shedeur Sanders? What would you say?
Kenny Pickett.
So then why keep Sanders over Pickett?
I can tell you, I don't want to insult anybody, but I can name starting quarterbacks in the current National Football League whose coaches have told me that Kenny Pickett is better than the guy that they are starting.
Okay, but why keep Sanders over Pickett then?
Because you used a draft pick on him. We've seen plenty of teams cut draft picks that they just drafted. There are plenty of questions associated with why you would draft a quarterback just 2 rounds after a quarterback that you very clearly liked so much, but that's what they did. And Andrew Berry is someone who has not been known to cut loose a guy that he just drafted. And so there you are. And now the development of these quarterbacks becomes yet another thing that Kevin Stefanski has to figure out and deal with amidst massive circus that surrounds anything and everything related to Shedeur Sanders.
I noted a couple things there. First thing that stood out to me was, holy cow, the quarterbacks that I imagine she's talking about starting quarterbacks in the NFL, their coaches are saying Kenny Pickett is better.
Yeah.
The other part of that is she was embedded with the Browns for their preseason coverage, which means she had unfiltered access to the coaches.
Well, if they thought he was that good, then why is he not here?
Well, not only that, but listen, Kenny, she had unfiltered access, and she mentioned circus with Shedeur Sanders. And if she's saying that, what are the coaches feeling?
I think she's saying media circus. Media. They don't. She does not believe. Hold on now.
Right, but why would she bring
circus.
it up?
Is
Play the end of it again.
Wait a minute. I think you're being ticky-tack there. Is it not a media? Was it not a media circus?
Well, we had
I don't
said
think he invited a circus.
We had said that we didn't think there was a media circus locally, but more nationally with all the public conversation.
Of course there was.
But Aditi was there with the team, and she wouldn't have brought up circus if she didn't think there was any
But I don't
reason.
think that Shedeur invites the circus. I don't think that's what she was saying.
No. His situation, I think, invited the circus.
I mean,
We've said time and time again, like Shedeur's not responsible for any of that. He wasn't telling his supporters, his fans, he wasn't telling them to hit up sports talk shows in Cleveland, or he wasn't telling RG3 or Hugh Douglas or Ryan Clark to talk about a racism angle with the coaches or a sabotaging or he's being held hostage. Shedeur's not doing that. He wasn't responsible for that. But without a doubt, the situation did invite that. And when you have 4 quarterbacks in there and his fans all want to know why he's not starting, and instead a 40-year-old quarterback is starting, and then it's Dylan Gabriel, and then it was Kenny Pickett, and then it was Shedeur Sanders, like that wasn't Shedeur's fault. Nobody was accusing him of doing that.
No, just making sure of that. I started laughing because somebody said, Anthony, we've seen Bailey Zappy, but we have not seen Bailey Zappu.
And to that, we may get more information as we're expecting an official declaration by the team today about Bailey Zappy.
Somebody said, well, why are you guys mad about it? I go, we're not mad about that at all. I'm not mad about Bailey Zappy being on the practice squad. I'm mad that you're mad that they didn't tell us for whatever reason. Just didn't come out and say about a guy they technically haven't signed yet that comes from an agent. I want to know from people what should be the plan for this year. 216-474-0092. We got Doug Maurice. I'll try to fit you in as fast as I possibly can here because we just opened it back up here. Because I'm frustrated because I'm confused. I'm confused about what you actually want to do. Like, you got to pick a direction, have an identity, and go. Are you trying to win football games? Okay, if you're trying to win football games, then why did you give up a guy that you think is going to be very good? Why did you give him up for a 5th-round pick? Why did you do that? If you're going to win football games, if you plan on winning football games, then why did you go ahead and you traded for 2 first-round picks next year?
Let me
a lot of people
advocate.
would, but a lot of us know why you would trade 2 first-round picks, so that would fly in the face of trying to win games this year.
Okay, I do think we understand, like, in the NFL, it's not every year a meritocracy with the starting 32 quarterbacks. Not every team is starting the best quarterback they possibly can, because there are teams that are like, all right, could be a developmental year. We have a young quarterback. Like the Colts, they could have gotten a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson, and I guess they did. They're not starting him to start the year, but they could have, like last year, was Anthony Richardson the best quarterback they possibly could have gotten?
No. They played Joe Flacco, who was a better quarterback.
Yeah, but then eventually they wanted to see Anthony Richardson, right? These seasons they want to see their young guy. So it's not always a meritocracy. Like we know, if you draft a quarterback in the first round, you're going to play him even if guys are better than him.
But if you're
not going to not play him. You have to see what he can do on the field and where he is and evaluate
But
it.
if you're that front office that has continuously said that he's good, you're also going to say Kenny's only 26, so he's a young guy too. I mean, if the guy were to actually pop, you got 14 more years that you're thinking off the top of your head, at least 13 more years that you're thinking off the top of your head that he could be your franchise quarterback. So
like when Josh Allen, when the Bills played Josh Allen in the first few years, he was not one of the 32 best quarterbacks at that time, and he was not a star. He was borderline. We remember how bad he looked here in Cleveland. Look at his completion percentage numbers. Like there were guys that could have been better, but and it would have been tough to do this in Cleveland, admittedly, they were able over the long haul to stick it out, put up with the pains early on, and not make a rash decision. But in this case, like with the Browns, we're starting a 40-year-old quarterback in Joe Flacco. We brought him in a month after we brought in Kenny Pickett. Like there was confusion from moment one what the Browns were trying to do. I had people tell me, oh, they only had Pickett here and then eventually brought in Flacco because Kirk Cousins. They thought for sure they were getting Kirk Cousins. And then when that situation went awry, they weren't able to get Cousins. They had to scramble. So maybe Cousins was...
I don't think for sure. No, I've seen a couple of reporters saying that. From what I'm told, I don't believe them. But we'll see how that goes, because eventually the dust settles, because they either work out or they get let go. You're not a documentary guy. I am. You've watched more of the America's Team documentary than I have. I want to point this out. If they're able to thread this needle and become a competent winning football team, this will be one of the greatest accomplishments you've ever seen in the NFL. Because I don't know a team that has prepared for the draft by not planning to lose games this year, and also paid veterans, kept veterans, had guys they really liked but were willing to let them go for 5th-round picks, and still became good competitive football teams. Like, if this works out for them, if they get 2 first-round picks, still find a way to keep their head above water this year, then draft a guy, like we won't know this for a long time, then draft a guy who ends up being the franchise quarterback for them, or one of these guys become a franchise quarterback, and they execute the 2 first-round draft picks to get guys who are helpful to that guy, this will be one of the greatest things you've ever seen in professional sports. Because to me, that is way too many spinning plates on too many sticks to keep up in the air. Eventually, those plates are going to fall on the ground and shatter all over the place. Because I'm asking people, again, what should be the plan? What is the plan for the football team this year? What should be? What would you say should be that plan? And I'm getting a million different answers. Because everywhere you go, I throw up a stop sign going, no, wait a minute. If they do this, then they can't do that. If they do that, then they can't do this. So tell me what your plan, like, I know what your plan would be. I know what my plan would be. I don't know their plan.
What, just to bridge it until next year's first round, where you have 2 picks?
But you're in year 6, so you don't have time to bridge it. And some of the moves...
You're talking about from the coaching and front office perspective.
Some of the moves that they have made would tell me, like when you get the 2nd first-round pick next year, you agree to the trade, that tells me you're thinking long-term.
Yeah.
All right, you did what was right by the franchise. But when you go and you make some of the moves that they've made, and you're bringing in some of the guys that you did, it tells me you are not.
They took 2 quarterbacks for only like the 5th time in recent NFL history.
So you've taken these 2 guys, and you would say, yeah, They're in it for the long haul. All right, why you got a 40-year-old quarterback starting? Why didn't you just keep Kenny Pickett then? If you guys thought he was so good, if you guys really thought he was great, why didn't you just hold on to him then? Because you guys don't think you have as much time as what you want us to believe. Or you guys are just hedging your bets that you might not have as much time as you care to believe. Because that's why you start a 40-year-old quarterback. You start a 40-year-old quarterback to do what? Win football games. Or give yourself the best chance to win football games right out of the box. If you felt that good, something stinks. Somebody could say whatever they want to. If you felt that good about two gloves over there, then you absolutely would have just kept them and moved on. For fifth rounders, again, you trade them for a fifth round pick that you might not even get to use next year. Great. Is quarterback not the most important position in football, let alone professional sports? Seems to me that a team that's been desperate for quarterbacks since Bernie Kosar would probably hold on to a quarterback that they thought was that good. Something stinks. That's a sell job. That's a sell job. And if they did a good job and the best that they could get was a fifth round pick, then you know what? I'll commend Andrew Berry for it. Yeah, fine. Then there is your win. If Kenny Pickett goes out there for the Las Vegas Raiders this year and is just throwing to nobody in particular like he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers against us at home a couple years ago, then you know what? Champions pose for Andrew Berry, because you're going to get to use that draft pick, because then you're going to win enough games and you might be able to stay with the football team. And again, I hope you guys all do. I hope Kevin's still here. I hope Andrew's still here, because that would mean that these guys are starting to work out, that the young guys that they have are working out, that Mike Hall had a good 2025, that Aiden Huntington has had a good 2025, that you picked up off of undrafted free agency, which is perfectly fine to do. You still got to scout him. You still got to bring him in. That's not a knock about the draft. That's not at all. If Carson Schlesinger ends up being a decent replacement for the great JOK, who we love and we wish it wasn't like that, but if Carson Schlesinger ends up being that guy, I would love it to go that way. But the needle you are trying to thread is so small. History would tell me otherwise. And if you do it that way, my friends, you have made history. And I'd like to see another team try, because there's going to be a lot of planning and there's going to have to be a lot of luck for that all to go down. Coming up next, Doug Lesmerises is going to join us on the show. Could Jeremiah Smith win the game for Ohio State without even having to catch a pass? Doug Lesmerises is going to join us at 9:21 to tell us about that. Ken Carm and Anthony Lima live on the Fan. Window Nation, let me tell you about
coach Dawn Staley reportedly interviewed for the New York Knicks job this offseason. Had the team offered it, Staley told the Post Moves podcast that she would have taken it. Want to catch highlights from The Fan from earlier today? Get over to 923thefan.com or favorite The Fan on the Odyssey app for all of today's headline segments. Headline sports news every 20 minutes on 923 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Anthony Allant.
I had a person over at Fox saying, I'm going to leave names out of it, but they follow the Buckeyes closely. And I swear to God, on anything that you guys hold dear, this person says to me, they go, if he doesn't beat Michigan again this year, I'm going to call for the guy to be fired. And a lot of other people are. And I go, I don't think that's going to happen at all. And then I thought about what Lima said, and I go, man, the national championship after beating Michigan, because before it was impossible to lose to Michigan. Even though, if you were a number, which is ridiculous about the old way, if you were number one and they were number two, or you were number two and they were number one, if you lost to Michigan, your season was over because it was too late in the year. It really shouldn't go that way.
Probably not.
If you're two good football teams, timing shouldn't matter. But then you went off and you won a national championship, and I go, man, if they lost to Michigan again, I think there'd be a lot of people who were sorely disappointed, but they would still probably be in the playoffs, and I don't think anybody would be calling for his ousting. And so because of that, has it taken some of the teeth out of that fight, out of that rivalry? The classic Buckeye fan would say, hell no, and I respect that, but if you're looking at the grand scheme of things, hey, if you lost to the Steelers twice and won the Super Bowl, would you give a bleep? No.
Didn't we sweep Cincinnati when they went to the Super Bowl?
Yes, it's more professionalized in that sense than you'd ever really think. Doug Maurice joins us right now, the B-Gap, Ohio State Football with Bill and Doug on Substack. He joins us on the Fan Hotline. Doug, let me ask you that question. I mean, if they went out, they just won the national championship, they'd probably still be a playoff team. If they went out at the end of the season this year and somehow lost to Michigan again, I bet there'd be some fans who are mad in the moment, but I don't think anybody'd be seriously calling for Ryan Day's job.
Yeah, no, whoever said that is wrong.
That was a media member, too. The media gets things wrong, you're telling me? No.
Yeah. Well, I don't, but I've heard other people do sometimes. Jim Tressel won a national championship in year 2 at Ohio State. Urban Meyer won it in year 3. I think Woody won his first in year 4. So, Ryan Day waiting to win the national championship, the greatest Ohio State coaches won a title before Ryan Day did. And when you don't have that, right? I mean, this is my answer to everything Ohio State these days. The Michigan game is one thing, and then the national championship pursuit is another thing. And you've got to be good at one of them, right? You can't be failing at both. That's when people get really antsy. But he has a ring now, and it just changes everything. It just you have this political capital that, of course, Ohio State fans demand to beat Michigan. But it's a completely different conversation than it was a year ago when he wasn't beating Michigan and hadn't won a national title. Now you have one, and it changes the whole feel of everything.
All right, Doug, I love getting your perspective on this. I don't remember when you first came to Cleveland journalism. Were you here in 2005 when Vince Young went to the Shoe?
It was the first game I ever covered as an Ohio State beat writer.
All right, perfect. So I was somewhere else, but this was the biggest game in my life. It felt like the biggest game that could be a regular season game. It's not a national championship game. It was the biggest game ever. And I remember message boards were in full effect. It was Ohio State, Texas, too. Cadillac brands, even though Texas had been on hard times. But, Jim Tressel had it cooking, and these two teams met. There was nothing cooler than to seeing their marching band, our marching band, their colors, our uniforms, our stadium, and a night game. And when they lost, and I remember because Ryan Hamby, I think, got death threats after that game. That was the advent of internet death threats. It was the biggest deal in the world. How big of a deal is this game coming up on Saturday at noon?
I don't think there's anybody who during the game is going to be like, you know what, I don't know if this is that big of a deal, right? That's the thing that I still I think college football hangs its hat on is while it's happening, building up to kickoff, people are going to be having an unbelievable time. But it's not going to be as punitive for the loser after the fact. I'll be shocked if both these teams aren't in the playoff at the end of the year. So then what does that do to this game? I don't know. I want to watch it. I want to see. I want to see them test themselves and think about, like, are these the two best teams in the country? So I think they're the most comparable. I think Texas is the best comparison for Ohio State in the country, just because of what football means in the state. You're the big state university, the resources that you have. They're the biggest athletic department budgets. Like, they're as big as it gets. And so these are huge games. And, you know, that Ohio State team in 2005, James Laurinaitis just said it again this preseason. I've always thought it. I think it's very possible it's the best Ohio State team that I've seen in my 21 years of doing this. And they lost to Texas and Penn State, who were number 2 and number 3, and then they didn't get a shot, right? So it's not an end-all, be-all, but I think it's as good as college football can be in the moment for 3.5 hours on Saturday.
See, Doug, that's the thing. Is so many of us, like, we've watched college football for a long time. Lyman and I are very in tune with it. You know, our boss is one of the biggest he's a Heisman Trophy voter as well. So, I mean, he's one of the biggest college football guys that will be in Cleveland radio. And we spend so much time complaining about the old ways to the new ways. And I still say, yeah, but you know what? They're still going to kick off at noon. And except for bitching about the time they kick off, people are just going to tune in and they're going to want to see college football. It's like every single thing they do that we think is like, man, we hate it. They just seem to fail upwards in the sport.
The ball's good, man. The ball is good. Obviously it's changed. But to be in a world where one loss ruined your season and you had idiot pollsters trying to figure out who should play for a national championship, I think this world is so much better. And when anybody longs for the old days, I just was your favorite thing about college football the way one loss ruined a team's season? It's like, oh man, I loved it when my team was awesome and they lost one game and their season was ruined. And that was the thing I liked the most. It's like, really? That's what you liked the most? Didn't you like Ted Ginn Jr.? Didn't you like A.J. Hawk? Didn't you like all the great ball? So, and then you get the payoff at the end, like the 4-game run in the playoff last year for Ohio State to get to play and beat Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and Notre Dame. Those are like 4 non-conference national matchups that it would take maybe a decade for Ohio State to play those games, and they played them in 6 weeks. So people do love to complain about college football, and it's college football's fault because they shoot themselves in the foot constantly, and then we get to Saturdays in the fall, and it's the best thing ever.
Doug Lesmerises joining us from Substack, the Ohio State Football with Bill and Doug, the BGAV on Substack, joining us right now on the Fan Hotline. Jeremiah Smith, could he not catch a pass and still help Ohio State get past Texas? Because there's a lot of new guys on that Texas defense, and they could look at number 4 and go, we can't let that guy beat us, but it's always going to be a deep wide receiver room.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they did last year. Like that game last year, Jeremiah Smith would be on one side of the field, and they'd play 2-on-1 against him, and then they'd play 4 DBs on 3 guys on the other side of the field. And that left Carnell Tate open. It let Emeka Buka make some plays. The guys last year was a first-round corner, the best corner in the country probably, who was guarding Jeremiah Smith part of that game, Jahdae Barron. Andrew Makuba as a safety was over him a lot. He was a second-round pick. So those guys are gone for Texas. They're still good in the secondary. They'll still, they played a lot of zone. I think Ohio State was 0 for 2 on throws 20 yards down the field. They drew a couple pass interference calls, but there were no shots that connected, and they made Ohio State work for it. So I think they'll still try that strategy, and they still have great players. But I think also Ohio State learned some lessons, But Ohio State also a couple years ago, when they beat Notre Dame at the end of the game in 23, they really took away Marvin Harrison Jr. in that game. So there have been times where Ohio State says, well, you can't force it to a guy, but we got to get to the ball to our playmakers. And there have been times when their best receivers have been taken away by good teams. Like, it's multiple times. But Ohio State won both those games. So I think there's a version of that's possible again. That Smith does not have a huge game, but to your point, affects the game every play because they're putting 2 guys on him, and that leaves other stuff open.
At the end of this interview, can you power rank the idiot AP pollsters, and is John Wilner one of those? You don't have to answer that right now.
Oh, no. He's good. He and I were the only 2 who knew what we were doing when I was voting the AP poll. Everybody else is an idiot.
I love your theory on this. Love you, to me, have published the defining theory on how to do this and not rank it on past years. You start from scratch every year, which I think is actually ingenious. But Doug Labori's joined us on the
How on
hotline.
earth can you start from scratch every single year, Doug? How can you not let last year or anything cloud your judgment at all?
I mean, you have perceptions of talent going into the season, but then once you get into the season, you don't let perceptions guide you. You go by what happens on the field. Because in the end, results on the field is what determines your ballot in Week 14. Why shouldn't it determine your ballot in Week 2? And by the way, I don't vote anymore in the AP poll, and I'm sure people don't care about this, but like I started doing that, 12 years ago and got a lot of attention for it. That's how the committee does it now. Like that's what they say they do, right? And that's why people get mad when Indiana's ahead of Alabama. Because
you were ahead of your time.
I changed the face of college football, but anyway, no one cares about that.
Okay, Doug, Julian Sayin, you've seen a lot of new quarterbacks. It's like a new quarterback every year at Ohio State. Times have changed. How does he stack up, at least up to this point, with the hype, the buzz, what other guys of similar profile have looked at this time?
Yeah, I mean, I just keep comparing him to C.J. Stroud, right? That it's processing, quick release, accuracy, tight windows, right? Like he can scoot a little bit if needed, but he's not a big physical guy. He's not going to kill you with his legs. So he's a throw first dude. And the thing I just keep reminding people, and I went back and watched it this week, is C.J. Stroud, his first start on a Thursday night against Minnesota in 2021, he was like 8 of 12 for 50 yards in the first half and didn't complete a pass more than 10 yards down the field, right? Like they were giving him easy throws. He threw behind Chris Olave for a pick in the middle of the field, and Ohio State was losing to Minnesota at halftime in C.J. Stroud's first start. He said he had jitters, right? I mean, it wasn't perfect because when you have a guy like that, it is about precision because you're a thrower and you're not just going to get out of the pocket and run for 30 yards on the scramble. So I think that's what Sayin is. So like, what did C.J. Stroud become? My gosh, he's a 2-time Heisman finalist. He's number 2 pick in the draft. That's the range of potential that we're talking about with Julian Sayin. But I don't think you're going to see all of that on Saturday. And I think it'll probably be a little shaky to start. And it's just, I think when you have athleticism as a QB, it can bail you out when you're starting out. And this guy's going to be ripping throws, but that takes longer to come around. By November, I think he'll be there. I'm not sure he'll be there on Saturday.
Is Arch Manning overhyped?
No. I mean, he's the number 1 quarterback recruit in the country. I mean, he's a big physical guy. I mean, again, honestly, I was kind of on the bandwagon of maybe if Texas makes a quarterback switch and goes to him for the playoff run next year, are they the defending national champions? I think it's possible. So I think he's probably overhyped and properly hyped at the same time because if his name was Arch Mandorf, he'd still be a guy that everybody couldn't wait to see because he was the number 1 quarterback recruit in the country and he's a big physical guy who could run and throw. So that part of it would still be true. It's just that, Peyton and Eli are good at making jokes. So then people are extra excited about it. But he's the real deal. He is.
Boy, that's interesting. It would have been a great experiment to change his name coming into college and then wearing a mustache. I think that would have been very interesting.
Because that's what Eli did for he did that thing, the little skit, right? Art should have done that for his whole life. Yeah,
I know you
fake name.
Yeah, you've talked about the wide receivers. The running back room for Ohio State is interesting because you just lost 2 NFL dudes. Second round draft picks that we're hoping one of them can have a great career here, and they are loving the other one already in New England. Where do these guys stack up?
Yeah, you got to be careful. When Quinshon Judkins transferred to Ohio State, he was maybe the best running back in the SEC when he transferred. So they got C.J. Donaldson as a transfer for this team. He was the second best running back at West Virginia. So it's not the same. He's probably he's maybe a little more of a physical back and that kind of thing. But the 1A 1B thing, Donaldson's not Judkins, and then James Peoples as the young guy. He reminds people, I think, the way he runs a little bit of J.K. Dobbins. He's 5'10", a little bit of a bowling ball thing, keeps his legs turning, breaks some tackles. But, Travion Henderson, as we all saw, when you got the ball in his hands in the right situation, he's a rocket ship, man. So you have to expect for a step back in the run game. I think the offensive line is going to be good, but they're not going to be as dynamic with the ball in their hands as they were a year ago. Are they still good? Yeah. I think they'll run the ball effectively, but you just have to have like the right set of expectations.
Texas, Ohio State at noon. Are you watching LSU Clemson at 7:30 with the Browns in mind?
Yeah, I like Klubnik. I do not want Cleveland, like the Garrett Nussmeier experience. Like I can't handle all the Nuss talk. Too much Nuss. Don't watch it for that. But
what's your problem with him? What's your problem with him, Doug?
It's just SEC puffery. Everybody in the SEC is just puffed up. Go look at like the 3 best opponents he played last year. He threw for like 170 yards a game. So it's fine. Let the SEC puff up their guys. That's what they do. Do not sit there as a Browns fan and talk yourself into Garrett Nussmeier as your franchise savior.
Do you think that Texas and Ohio State should be a little bit less sensitive, like with the Dave Portnoy stuff, with horns down?
Horns down is, I think you don't have to have a rule against a hand gesture. The Portnoy stuff, I mean, it is whatever. I haven't spent 5 seconds thinking about it. Fox needs Ohio State more than Ohio State needs Fox. And the Big Ten needs Ohio State more than Ohio State needs the Big Ten. So I just would caution Fox to maybe get out of the business of aggravating the most important part of its TV deal. It's not like they're going to leave in the middle of it, but when that TV deal's up, if this is the relationship, I don't know where it's going to go, but if I were Fox, I would throw Ohio State a few more bones than they've thrown them.
I love that answer, and I can't thank you enough for your time. Folks, go subscribe.
Wait, hold on. Before you get the plug, are you going to be watching the pregame on Big Noon Kickoff, or are you going to be watching Lee Corso retiring after 38 years in the media?
Can I give you my honest answer?
Yeah.
Neither.
You're not going to like it. I don't watch them. Yeah. It's fine. I mean, I love college football. I analyze it all week. I am privileged to do it for my job. I don't need to watch those guys talk about it. I know what I think.
Wow. Tough talking,
I don't mean
Doug.
To be a jerk.
Wow.
It's fine. It's for the people. I love it. I'm an old man. I'm a grumpy old man.
You're not grumpy.
Doug,
You're not grumpy.
Right before kickoff, he's going to put on headgear for the final time. People are going to be crying.
It's great. I know. It's wonderful. And I'm sure it'll on social media, I'll see the 30-second clip. But give me Julian Sayin and Arch Manning and Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons and Austin Sarabelt and Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith. That's my priority.
Doug, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate you. The B Gap, the Ohio State football with Bill and Doug. It's on Substack. Please subscribe to it right now. Lima just said something so crazy I have to tease it ahead. So, Doug, thank you so much.
Thank you, fellas.
The great Doug Lesmerises. Again, it's on Substack, the B Gap. Go ahead, subscribe to it now. They're going to be crying.
I guarantee you there will be. I think Herbie will be crying.
That's not who I'm talking about. You think there's going to be crying? I think you don't know the audience. Ken Carmen, 100%. Anthony Lima on the Fan.
All right, Anthony Lima.
America's most revered messenger. Shorten your cold at the first sign with cold shortening products from Zicam, the #1 cold shortening brand. Available in stores or see where to buy at Zicam.com.
The best fantasy football coverage is right here. The radio home of the NFL in Cleveland. 92.3 The Fan.
How big of a deal is this game coming up on Saturday at noon?
I don't think there's anybody who during the game is going to be like, you know what, I don't know if this is that big of a deal. That's the thing that I think college football hangs its hat on is while it's happening, building up to kickoff, people are going to be having an unbelievable time. But it's not going to be as punitive for the loser after the fact. Like, I'll be shocked if both these teams aren't in the playoff at the end of the year. I think it's as good as college football can be in the moment for 3.5 hours on Saturday.
Back in the Fan. That's Doug Maurice with us. You think people are going to cry during Lee Corso's thing?
Well, I absolutely do, because there have been times when I've seen some of the hype videos, because it takes me back. It's not necessarily about Corso, who, he's had a rough time. His health, he's been very public about his health, but yet wanting to be on that show. And despite how rough it's been for him physically, he's found a way to be on that show, and I think eventually him and his family came together and said, okay, it's time.
If you are saying...
And I can tell you that watching some of these homages to him, it takes me right back to college, watching him do that. And yes, anything that is a throwback for nostalgia's sake, I mean, Kenny, listen to this when it comes to a potential tearjerker on Saturday right before noon.
It's been an incredible honor and privilege for a funeral to be with you, to be your partner for all these years. There'll never be another Lee Corso. Thank you for everything you've done for me, for this show, for this sport. You're one of one.
I did not put that bet under that. That's from ESPN. That is what they are putting. They will show that on the big screen wherever they're doing game day, whatever parking lot they're in game day.
Everyone's going to cry.
And everyone is going to cry.
Now, Ken doesn't allow his kids to see him cry.
You're going to make me out to be a giant bastard. Okay, Kirk Herbstreit and the crew at Fox, or the crew at ESPN will cry. Crew at Fox, if they cried, I mean, that may be different. But Kirk Herbstreit will get emotional, and the crew at ESPN that's been with him for a while will be emotional. 19-year-old students walking into the stadium are not going to get emotional.
Sure, but that's not, I mean, is that their audience?
That's their audience.
That's Game Day's audience these days?
Every time I've turned on Game Day, you see a bunch of 19-year-old kids who are probably lubed up, and they got the hard hats on, and they're all lushed up.
Yeah, the students
who always... I thought that's what you meant the audience was. I didn't know you were talking about that.
That's
the people
not
watching
who's really
it.
watching at home.
Oh, then we got it.
The students are out drinking.
We got our signals crossed up because I thought you said that they were going to be people they're showing on TV and they're going to be like wiping away tears. And I go, 19-year-old drunken kids ain't going to be wiping away. Allegedly.
I don't even know.
We don't condone such practices.
I think they get
excited
when Lee Corso puts the headgear on. Yeah, sure. It's what's shown at the stadium.
If you're Lee Corso, do you go? You know where I'm going with this.
I think he's going Texas.
Do you do it where it's like a wrestler? You go out looking at the lights, brother.
Yeah. I think
you go out on your back.
I think he wants the booze. I think he wants Herbie to go, what? What are you doing? Because remember,
he's going to put Brutus on and then rip it off.
Then rip it off.
Bevo on.
Right. And he'll let it marinate.
Yeah.
Because he's ever the showman. And the very first Brutus, the very first helmet gear was Brutus, famously, as they remind you each and every year.
Well, that was part of that clip. You didn't see it, but it's him putting it on.
The first Brutus?
Oh, yeah. The very first one.
I always loved when he put it on and then he does the kind of, you can't see his face and he does the deadpan wave.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, bye-bye. Have a good day at college football. Talk to you next week. I always enjoyed that.
Well, he's done this. The best is West Virginia. I mean, the shooting the guns, which, of course, you cannot do.
Oklahoma, the Roughnecks.
Oklahoma, yep. Ohio State, he has picked to win, 32, or he's 32-14 with Ohio State. So he has picked them a bunch of times. Texas is further down, 10-8 in his Texas selections.
I can't believe somebody has the records. That's incredible.
Oh, he's 287 correct picks, 142 incorrect picks. Winning percentage, remember, he's not doing the spread, 67%.
That's better than him as a head coach. I'm not trying to be mean-spirited. I'm just saying. He was coach at Indiana. It's better than him as a head coach. I think it was the Tampa Bay Bandits, too, in the USFL. I'm not going to be there. Actually, no. We're a home game, so I could see it. I'm not going to go see it. I don't want to go out of my way to get emotional.
This one I will. You know what? I haven't watched him a lot in recent years, and I'll be honest, it's been a tough watch, unfortunately. You see somebody up there in age, still trying to do what he's always wanted to do and gutting it out. Quite frankly, I have no idea how he's been able to do it. But he has been up there. He's had his family up there at times. And so that's what it's going to do. It's going to be the last time, for nostalgia's sake, that it'll be a throwback to young me in college, where I was watching. I can tell you, I definitely was watching, and I was there. I went one time and was like, probably never again. But it was cool one time to go see it.
Man, we used to get done. It was the best. You'd have football on Friday night, and then you'd go in and watch film, and he would have you go in and watch film at like 7 a.m. because he didn't want you assing off on Friday night. So you were in film and getting in the pool because Perry had a pool. Still do. Congratulations on all our success. You get in the pool, even if you. Those three plays I went out there on field goal really took it out of me. I got to go get my work in. But then we'd me, my buddy Jake, my buddy Ronnie, Beaver, we were like, well, we're gonna go over to Jake's house. We're gonna watch, there was always that perfect Saturday where it was overcast, and it was just you're gonna get your Saturday started. This is gonna end. It's gonna end at 3 a.m. on Sunday night. I don't condone such practices. It's gonna end on 3 a.m. on Sunday morning, I should say. I don't know at whose house I'm gonna be at, but it starts at Saturday at 10:30. Watching the end of college game day with my buddies, and then watching college football until it's time to go out or go to a party. And it was always a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And ever since I started doing this, and in my college there was a little bit of it, but once you started doing radio and started working games and stuff like that, I was driving. So I have not seen the show regularly, except for tuning in here and there, or when I was doing the Saturday CBS show. I didn't see it really for the last 20-something years now, or even for the most part for the last 18, 19 years now. But it is a tradition. I checked out Big Noon Kickoff when that first came out. I've enjoyed Big Noon Kickoff. If I'm picking two, I'm picking Big Noon Kickoff. But it is a tradition, and he was very entertaining by it, and he was entertaining by it for a long time. I just don't want to tune in because I don't want to feel sad. I always feel sad for those things, and I don't want to feel sad.
Well, it's definitely an era-ending moment, and you get these sometimes in life. Whatever
that's
it is.
The second I thought when they brought Pat McAfee out, that's the first thing I thought. I would go, oh, he's the new Lee Corso.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
But I'm just trying to think. When I was young, Cheers, that final episode of Cheers, that was always one I'll remember. Roseanne, the final episode. You have these times where you're like, that's it. Things have changed forever. And I think this is one of those moments in TV.
Trying to remember the final episode of Roseanne, because didn't the final season got off the rails?
The whole season was
because she thought that Dan had actually died.
Dan was gone.
He put a hole in the wall, and it got really emotional.
I was on the campus of Oklahoma State in a dorm watching Final Seinfeld.
I got a controversial take. I actually like the final episode of Seinfeld. The ending and how it ended. I thought it was a nice way. I thought it was cute. It's the only time I'll use that word in my life. Big thanks to
Bailey Zappy official.
Yeah, Bailey Zappy's official.
Super Bowl!
No, shut up. No.
Super Browns!
No.
Yeah!
I'm not participating.
You've been
in it.
zapping.